Good morning, folks. Welcome to RRTV's live coverage of the Selby Endurance Sports Car Championship. Before we get into it, we have Nathan Hapats with us this morning. Once again, Nathan, welcome, and it looks great out there for a bright and sunny Sunday morning.
Thank you, Bernie. Good morning, everyone. Yes, it looks like a beautiful day. The Francorchamps circuit. All the crowd is building, I can see there. All standing at attention, focused on the action.
Yeah, definitely, and at the moment, folks, you can see out there the HPDs doing their final qualifying, Class C and B, that's the Porsches, and the GT3s have finished qualifying, and we'll go through that at the moment. But Nathan, looks like we've had a few changes in the rules, and the main one I think that's going to affect us today is the maximum incident cap, which I think they've set at around about 93 today.
Yeah, that's right, Bernie. I think the series organisers have just been trying to make sure that no one takes advantage of using up too many incidents in the race. So looks like there's a disqualification clause in there now. So 93 incidents is not all that many to manage around here in 10 hours. It'll be interesting to see how the teams handle that one today. Yeah,
it certainly will. The other rules are, folks, that race control will be keeping a close eye on is going to be weaving. That's the first one, so they're basically very strict on that. There'll be no weaving allowed at the of tyre heating on the rollout lap, nor are they allowed to do it under safety car conditions. So that's one thing the teams are going to have to keep an eye on, Nathan, because as the drivers get tired, they might do it just out of reflex.
Yeah, no, look, it'll be interesting to see if all the teams have read through the rules in detail and are aware of those changes. So let's keep an eye on that during the race. And I guess the next thing we could talk about, Bernie, is that we've got access now to the race control penalties as they appear in their system and what the actions are going to be. So we might see a few people end up in that list if they start weaving down the track.
Yeah, definitely, but that'll be great for the teams, won't it? Because they'll be able to see exactly what race control's doing out there. If they put in a protest, they'll be able to see if it's being actioned or reviewed. I think it's going to help a lot in calming down a few team managers out there.
I hope so. It'll be great for us in the commentary box as well, Bernie. We'll be able to see exactly what's going on.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And folks, as the news does come through, we will feed it out to you. So you can keep an eye on what your favourite team's up to or what penalties they may get. What else have we got to cover here? Pit lane penalty, as always, folks. When a safety car comes out, pit lane's closed. No one's allowed to enter until pit lane's open. The only caveat to that is if they are going to run out of fuel and they need to get permission from race control first. But if they do, Nathan, it's a hefty penalty. They can't change drivers, and it's a 1 minute 20-second hold.
Absolutely, that's pretty much going to put you a lap down every time you do that. So the teams will really have to be careful not to get a penalty like that one.
Yeah, definitely. But apart from that, I think the rules are fairly straightforward. The only other one is text chat. They're allowed to use it, but they're only allowed to use pass left, pass right. Any other text chat they'll get into trouble for. And I think the other one is using voice chat. I think it's basically only to communicate with race control, and I think they're getting very strict about that as well.
Yeah, which is good. I think we've had a few incidents in the past few rounds with people getting on the radio and complaining, and that can be distracting when you're driving, so I can totally understand that rule.
Yeah, exactly right, and it makes it for more realistic racing as well. As far as track conditions go out there today, folks, having a look, well, you can't see the track map, but that's just my overlays. 21 turns out there today. It's quite a large track. 7 kilometres is the total length. Weather's clear. Wind speed's only 4 kilometres an hour, so very favourable. Track temp 34 degrees Celsius. So it's not too hot out there today.
Yeah, not too hot. It's not too cold either. It's interesting track at the moment. I heard a couple of the GT3 cars on the radio reporting it was got a little bit slippery. So we'll see how the track goes as it rubbers up. But beautiful clear day and good day for racing.
Yeah, it certainly is. And just have a look at who's out there at the moment. As far as Class A goes, Craig Edwards, Fusion Sim Racing, they're on provisional pole. 2:04.132 was their previous lap. Second is the 1:01, and that's Redback Racing Team. And Daniel Benefield's qualifying that car at the moment. Third in Class A provisionally is Dynamic Sim Racing, Justin Strickland. He's sitting in pit lane at the moment. Then fourth we have the second Redback team, that's Redback Team White. Phil Hobbs is going out. Great to see Phil having a drive today. And then rounding out your top five is Dynamic Sim Racing. Aaron Farmer's out there on a hot lap at the moment.
Yeah, they're all quite busy at the moment, and it looks like no one's done any driver changes for this round. I think in previous rounds on shorter tracks, sometimes we see the teams splitting the qualifying duties between two drivers, but because bar's such a long lap and a long out lap, it doesn't give you a lot of time to come back in and change over. So we might see most of these teams just running the one driver, their preferred qualifier, and trying to set the best time possible.
Yeah, exactly right, and no doubt the backup drivers, if they're starting the race, they'll be off the server out there, probably warming up as much as they can, getting ready for race start, which will be in around about 6 minutes time. So looking...
Sorry, Bernie, you go.
That's alright. I was going to say, looking at the leaderboard for Class C, we've only got 2 Porsches out there, which is a real worry for this class. It's been a constant issue apart from round 1. We're down to 2 cars today from 5. So Laser Racing, they'll start from pole position with a 2:25.138. Extreme Racing, the 2:11, they'll start out as second with the 1:002. Now, basically, Nathan, these guys just have to stay out of trouble and they're guaranteed podium.
Yeah, it's not bad when you're guaranteed at least starting in the front row of the grid just by turning up. But yeah, we'd love to see a few more Porsches in the series. So if anyone watching is keen to get in and put a team together for some of these Enduros, then the Porsche's the way to go. It's a fantastic car to drive, and really a bit of a shame to see we're only down to 2 cars this round.
Yeah, I'm very, very surprised considering how good that car is. And the top end speed, it's actually quicker than the GT3s. It's just punishing probably under the braking and the cornering compared to a GT3, but it's a fantastic car to drive.
Yeah, great fun, and like you said, they are quick in a straight line. They're not as good under brakes as a GT3, so that's where the GT3s will get them in the braking and into corners. But from a corner exit and straight line speed, Porsches have got some real go. So we're seeing some pretty similar lap times. Really, they're only about 4 or 5 seconds a lap slower over these 7 kilometres. So you could find that some of those Porsches will get in the way of a few of the GT3 cars during the race.
Yeah, and as always, folks, multi-class racing, the lower classes, they do not have to get out of the way of the faster classes. They're entitled to hold their line. In fact, the faster classes, it's their responsibility to make those passes safely. But saying that, the slower classes always should be working to facilitate those passes as much as they can to stop any incidents, especially if there's how could you say it? The faster classes, slower classes, whatever, are all racing for position at the time.
Yeah, I think with the good teams or the experienced teams in this series, for any of the viewers watching, you'll see things like the slower car might just pull over on the straight and let the faster car through on the straight. It's a lot safer to do that rather than trying to battle around corners. So the teams should work together well, and at the end of the day, they've only got 93 incident points like we reported at the start. So you can't afford to take risks and get off on the grass or have a nudge someone and pick up another incident point. It could really hurt you later on in the race.
Oh, definitely right, and especially now that there's an incident cap. I wouldn't be surprised, folks, if when we come back later on today, we've got 25 starters, but if we come back at 4 o'clock, I would not be surprised to see a number of cars not running.
It wouldn't surprise me at all, Bernie, but nice to see Craig Edwards there in the Fusion Sim Racing cars. Just dipped under the 2:04 mark with a 2:03.956 in first position, so they're putting in some pretty quick lap times at the moment.
Yeah, they certainly are. And then the next fastest car, Daniel Benefield, he just come across the line, 2:04.239. So what's that? 0.3 of a second down. So it's still pretty close there, with 2 minutes 55 remaining in qualifying. Looking at leaderboard for Class C, this is the way they're going to start today, folks. Proforce Racing GTI, they qualified with a 2:18.662 arm racing. They are on the improve every single race. They qualified for second, 2/10 down, but only 0.003 of a second up from Fusion Sim Racing, the 347 in third. Swift Racing also fantastic qualifying, 0.4 down in fourth. And then we've got Selby, Nathan, they're in fifth and 1.1 seconds off the pace at the moment.
Yeah, fifth place for the Selby team, but it was a bit of a messy qualifying from what I saw, so hopefully my boys will get up there. I think we've got pretty good race pace, and we were the quickest GT3 there, but definitely the guys at the front, Ross for the Proforce car is doing a great job at the moment. Justin in arm racing has always been pretty quick, so yeah, a lot of the GT3 fields, the teams are quite strong, so this should be a pretty good race.
Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest problem with arm racing, like they do have the pace, but what I've seen is over a long distance, they tend to fade a little bit as the race goes on, or they get unlucky and get caught up in other people's incidents.
Yeah, and look, I guess one of the key things is to really work in a team so that you have a bit of depth and everyone's consistent. Consistency is just so important for a long race like this.
Oh, it definitely is. 10 hours around here will be absolutely punishing. And the big thing, as I was saying off air, last time I raced here in a Porsche, I felt like I was dying by 1,000 cuts, because you take one wheel off in the wrong spot here and you instantly hit with an incident point. There's not a lot of margin for error.
That's right, and you've only got, is it 6 or 7 an hour or something like that, so every time you get an off track, it just adds a tiny little bit of pressure, and you have to start watching yourself, and ideally these teams want to have a bag of incident points left to use up in the last hour or two of the race if they really need to push hard for a final position.
Yeah, exactly right. And the other one they've got to keep an eye on is their fast repairs. They've only got 2. Last round we saw a couple of teams burn through them pretty quickly, and we saw them struggling pretty much for the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's right, and if you do pick up a little bit of damage, and that might only come from just a small bump to the front or rear of the car, because of the long straights here at Spa, the damage tends to affect your downforce and your drag, so a little bit of damage can really rob you of a lot of lap time. So even one little bump could cost you 2 or 3 seconds a lap, and you may not want to use up a fast repair to fix that, but if you're going to race at 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 hours with a deficit of 2 or 3 seconds a lap, that's really going to hurt your chances.
Oh, it definitely will, and we can see now quali's pretty much over here, and we'll see exactly who starts where, but at the moment Craig Edwards, they do have pole. We can see Aaron Farmer at the moment, he's coming through. He's in 7th at the moment for Dynamic Sim Racing and wants to improve, and he's got to beat a 2:05 end of the wall. Well, that's probably not going to help him.
Not at all, Bernie.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was out of frustration or if he just got it spun up, but we can see a few of the other cars coming through to finalise their laps at the moment. Another one we haven't seen, David Jellings, he's just finished Dynamic Sim Racing 3. He's qualified in 4th position, so we'll keep an eye on him as it goes as well. So qualifying's over. The top 5 in Class A. Fusion Sim Racing takes out pole position with a 2:03.957, and Redback Racing Team Red 2nd, 3rd Dynamic Sim Racing 4, 4th Dynamic Sim Racing 3, and rounding out your top 5 is Redback Racing Team White.
Yeah, it's fairly tight at the top there, Bernie, and David Jellings did a nice job in that last lap, jumping up 2 or 3 positions there to get into the 4th place.
Yeah, he did a brilliant job, didn't he? And both Dynamic Sim Racing cars qualified really well, so we'll keep an eye on how they go. And of course, Fusion Sim Racing, they've always proven extremely strong and the class leader, pretty much.
Yeah, and I guess like we've seen in the other endurance races, we've got 10 hours of racing ahead of us. So what you'll find is that the teams don't put a hell of a lot of weight into qualifying position. They know it's a long race, and you'll find that some teams have a better race pace than qualifying pace.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm just having a look at that chat. It's already the what do you call it? The off game banter has already started. So we're just waiting now for the folks to get into their cars. I think at the moment they're probably doing their pre-race briefing, and then they'll start lining up in about 33 seconds. We've still got a couple of cars out there though, finalising their quali. We've got Justin Strickland at the moment. It looks like he's on a hot lap, and he should get this done.
Yeah, I wonder if that'll get counted now. I thought the qualifying time is probably over, but still a few cars moving out there, and it looks like we've got only one car, I think, starting from pit lane today, Bernie.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's a race on Oz 341. They've actually entered with the wrong car number, the number 48, and that was in practice 2. So it's pretty steep though, isn't it? They've pit lane start, and it's not that steep. Basically, they've just got to wait till all the field goes through before they can start.
Yes, pit lane start. It's not too bad for a 10-hour enduro. I think the Selby team, we started from pit lane at Spa at the 24-hour race last year, and still finished in second spot, so it won't affect you too much. But yeah, they are pretty tight on these things. You have to enter each of the practice sessions in the right car number and the right car, and if you don't do that, then you will get penalised. Yeah,
definitely. And I forgot how, what's the word? The short warm-up lap on these new tracks. So we should get into the grid straight away, folks, because there's quite a few cars to get through. So Fusion Sim Racing, they'll start from pole position for Class A, followed by Tryhards Racing 1. And I got the wrong one. Let's go for quali. That's better. Redback Racing Team Red out of second. Dynamic Sim Racing 4 will start out of third. Dynamic Sim Racing 3 will start out of fourth, followed by Redback Racing Team White in fifth position. And I've got to find the right button here. Redback Racing Team Black will start out of sixth, followed by Dynamic Sim Racing 2 in seventh. Dynamic Sim Racing 1, they'll start out of 8th today, and Performance Motorsports HPD out of 9th. And then we have LMTI, the number 129, they round out your top 10.
To see Dynamic Sim Racing 1 so far down there, Bernie. I think we'll see them move up the field fairly quickly with Aaron at the wheel there.
Yeah, definitely. And then further on down the grid, we've got VPR out of 11th. Misfit Motorsport, they're going to start out of 12th today. Then the first of the GT3s, Proforce Racing GTI, starts out a pole for Class B, followed by Arm Racing in 14th and second in Class B. Fusion Sim Racing, they're going to start out of 15th and third in Class B. Then Swift Racing, keep an eye on these boys, starting out of 16th. Selby Racing Team out of 17th. Tryhards Racing 1 out of 18th. 19th is the Race on Oz 1 team, followed by Razorback Races 2 out of 20th. Out of 21st, Fusion Sim Racing, the 348, followed by Lone Wolf Racing Sim Racers out of 22nd. 23rd will be Razorback Racing, and then we have the two Porsches up the back, Laser Racing in 24th and Extreme Racing, the 211, rounds out your field of 25.
Let's hope those Porsches have a good race. You don't want to be sitting there by yourself for 10 hours, Bernie.
No, exactly right. I hope they do have a good race, and I hope they have the best race out of everyone out there, because they definitely deserve it just for showing up. We can see the boys now coming through, waiting for the starters' orders here at Spa. Very slow, small warm-up lap. Now, I think they have to go around the hairpin to actually start the lap, because it's a bit strange here in Spa, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so, yep.
The finish line, though, is on the straight. They've just gone through. So a bit of a staggered starting grid here. I'm not sure why. But we are waiting now for Class A to start. Craig Edwards, he's going to lead them out here. And we can see Class B coming through. So a nice clean start, hopefully, by Class A as they come through for the first time to start the Spa Francorchamps 10-hour. Class B now through, and Ross Rizzo leads them into the chicane.
Yeah, clean start so far.
We can see already the Porsches are mixing it up, which we'd expect on these long Camel straight here, and starting to monster a few of the slower GT3s.
Yeah, they've got pretty good straight line speed, but the GT3s should get them under brakes.
Yeah, and we can see the Porsches already. Laser Racing's caught up, flashing the lights, trying to get through these slower cars because they're trying to keep up at the moment with Extreme Racing. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this so-called slower class goes around here.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit early to be flashing lights, Bernie, but we've still got 10 hours of racing to go. I don't think you need to be that urgent to get past right at the moment.
Oh, you know what it's like. These racing drivers, they they get the red mist descending. They're all excited to start the first lap, and away they go. But of course, up front we've got Fusion Sim Racing leading, Redback Racing team. Let's bring up the driver here. Sorry, folks, I have to change it to that. Redback Racing Team Red is in second. Third is Justin Strickland driving the Dynamic Sim Racing 4, and then fourth is Dynamic Sim Racing 3. Mark Rayner started that car, and rounding out your top five, Phil Hobbs in Redback Racing Team White.
Yeah, nice clean start, Bernie. No accidents that I've seen so far, and they're all going through in single file at the moment, just about to complete lap number 1.
Yeah, and the Race on Oz team, they've served that start lap penalty, fairways down, and who's driving that? Ben Smith has started in that car.
Yeah, Ben Smith is pretty handy, as we all know, so no doubt they will catch up to the field. They've got some pretty good pace on board that car, so it might take them a stint or two to do that if there's no safety car, but they'll definitely make some progress, so we'll keep an eye on them.
Yeah, we've got one of the HPDs, the LMTI HPD. They are mixing it up at the moment with the leaders of the GT3 class. I'm not sure if they've had a spin, but they're trying to get past the ARM racing car at the moment. No doubt they'll do it coming onto Camel Straight, but ARM Racing's leading Class B and the pace setter at the moment. Ross Rizzo, he's comfortable sitting in second, and third we've got Trent Thomas. So it's great to see Trent out there. Fusion Sim Racing having a drive, and he's being followed closely by Swift Racing, and Eric Thorpe started that car. And then the car with that you'll be keeping a close eye on today, Nathan, is the Selby Racing boys. Paul Mansell has started in that car, and I think they're sitting 5th in class. They are.
Yeah, it looks like they're all pretty close at the front of that field still, and I think you'll probably find a number of the teams who are a bit more experienced here might just be trying to settle in, especially save some fuel down these long straights.
Yeah, definitely, and that's going to be what it is now, isn't it? Just settling into a rhythm and making sure they get this car home in one piece for the next driver.
Right, and the main thing is, I guess, not to let the leaders get too much of a gap. So these guys in third, fourth and fifth will be trying to keep the pace up a bit just to keep up with these top two and not let them get too far away.
Yeah, because 10 hours sounds like a long way, doesn't it? But if you either let the leaders get away and there's not a lot of safety cars, which we've seen in the past, or if you get into a lot of trouble, 10 hours can seem like not enough time to try to recover.
That's right, and especially with a few safety cars thrown into the mix and to jumble things up a bit, it can really put you out of sync, and that 10 hours can disappear pretty quickly when you might only have 3 or 4 hours to go and you realise you're 40 seconds from the lead. It's pretty hard to get that time back. Definitely
is, and already the team managers out there are telling their drivers if a safety car comes out, what they have to do is ignore iRacing call that pits are open. because it's not iRacing that calls that, it's actually race control. So we can see already team managers are starting to brief their drivers on the race rules just to make sure there's no mistakes.
That's right, and most teams will have a spotter or someone who's calling out strategy to their driver and telling them about vehicles around the track, and they should be relaying information like that as well, so the driver doesn't have to think too hard about that. They just need to focus on the job at hand.
Yeah, exactly right, and that's a big role of team managers, isn't it, to allow their driver just to focus on driving, and it makes a massive difference of these races, from the bigger organised teams to some of the smaller teams that don't have that privilege of having a team manager in there.
That's right, and I know in the Selby team we will always have a spotter who is talking to the driver. We know each of our team, some guys like more chat, some guys like less, and everyone has a preference, I guess, in the way that information is relayed to them, but we'll have a spotter that might be continually calling fast cars that are approaching, like HPDs, and always keeping the team up to date with what's going on.
Yeah, it's so important, especially if you're in the GT3, which you guys are, and having the HPDs, they close up so quickly. You can see at the moment Warren Pickering, Phil Hobbs, both Redback Racing, they're starting to want to get past Dynamic Sim Racing 3 here, and I reckon if I was in Dynamic Sim Racing I wouldn't be fighting too hard, but saying that, they're entitled to it and they are still on the pace. It's not like a cork in the bottle situation. It's just, I think, more of racing drivers being racing drivers and wanting to get a position.
That's right. It's as a racing driver, it's sometimes hard to let a car pass, but it is a long race, and sometimes on a track like this, it can be a bit of benefit in sitting behind someone and saving some fuel. So, as you can see, nearly a bit of an incident there, but they're trying to get past at the moment.
Yeah, so Phil Hobbs has got past, but I tell you what, that was Warren Pickering. It was a bit of a clenching moment there, wasn't it? A very late move there to try to get in past Mark Rayner, and as you said, almost an incident.
Yeah, I think he wants to wait for a slightly better opportunity than that. And like we were talking about earlier, that's one of those risky manoeuvres you want to think twice about on a track like this, so you're not going to pick up an off track or damage the car.
And the sense of urgency may be because these guys are already 4.7 seconds down from the leader. So, as you were saying, they can't afford to let these guys go. We've seen previously, haven't we, in the mornings, I think the longest these guys have run is pretty much, one safety car over a 10-hour period, maybe two.
Yeah, so I know what Warren's like. He's a quick driver, and he'll definitely be looking at that time to the leaders and seeing that he might be a bit faster than the car in front, so he'll be pushing pretty hard to get past.
Yeah, and we're driving on board with him at the moment. He's got nothing up, as you'd expect, on the straights here, but we'll see how he closes in under brakes. He closes in substantially under brakes, which is probably where they're getting the pace at the moment.
Yeah, and it looks like he'll be trying to line up for a pass up Kemmel Straight here, so if he can get up nice and close to Mark around this bend here, the tight corner, get a nice run, a nice exit, he hopefully should have enough top end speed to get past down Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? You've got to get that toe and up onto Kemmel Straight, which is coming up onto now, and you can see the toe just starting to kick in already. Yeah,
of course, getting along Kemmel Straight in a good speed means you have to get a great exit through Eau Rouge and out of Radillon, which is also a very tricky corner and one of the best corners in iRacing, that's for sure.
Oh, definitely. And we just had some news through. Probably not the news you want to hear, but they were saying Paul in the 314 just had the engine cut out temporarily, but they think it may be some sort of iRacing glitch.
Yeah, I did hear a bit of chatter over our team radio. He was, he just said the engine just cut out, and he lost a spot because of that, but quite strange.
Yeah, so what do they do? Do they do some sort of reset and go again, or was he lucky enough that he had the start button mapped and he could just restart the engine?
I'm not sure. I'm going to have to check in with the team, but I know there is an ignition button to turn the engine on and off, so it's possible that he was quick enough to hit the button, or maybe the engine just came back. But yeah, just definitely something I'll follow up with the team.
Yeah, definitely, and that could be an issue with some drivers, because I know I don't have the ignition button mapped at all, but it might be something that some drivers might think about in the future, if that's possible, that you can have an engine cut out like that. Because if you don't have it mapped, of course, Nathan, and it cuts out and you've got to start it, there's no way of starting it.
No, that's right. I've heard of instances before, for example, where someone's forgot to map a pit limiter button, and they've exited the pits and weren't able to turn the pit limiter off, so they've had to do a whole lap around the circuit with the pit limiter on and come back in and fix the problem.
Yeah, it was like the other night. I was running in the skippies and broadcasting live on Twitch TV on the RRTV live page there, and I couldn't find the tear off in the skippies, so I went the whole race hardly being able to see anything, then finally finding it on the last lap, and I was very excited by finding my tear offs.
Lucky you weren't in one of the sprint cars on a dirt track, Bernie. It would have been a lot worse, I think.
Yeah, it definitely would have been. It would have been a lot of fun for the viewers to watch how much trouble I can get myself into out there. And already we can see the leaders. They're starting to lap the race on Oscar that started from pit lane. But it doesn't matter about Class A lap on this car. It's Class B that these guys are worried about.
Yep, that's right. Class B, don't know how they're going at the moment. We should check in and see how they're travelling, Bernie.
Yeah, well, at the moment, Racing's leading, but Ross Rizzo in the GTI car, they've closed right up. And if we can get a live, don't have a live gap here, I'm going to have to fix that for the next one. But they've got about 1.4 seconds up at the moment. Back to George where are we? Trent Thomas in third. Fusion Sim Racing, Swift Racing, they're keeping up. So they've really broken up into two packs of two, haven't they?
Yeah, Ross is applying a bit more pressure to Justin now. First and second, the gap there is only half a second. So yeah, possibly Ross is just thinking he can just sit behind and save some fuel behind Justin for a while and try and save his tyres. But they have pulled a little gap on third and fourth.
Yeah, they definitely have. And at this point in time, really, as you're saying, Ross just has to sit in here behind Racing. Let them break the wind, so to speak, and probably wrong term to use, but I am tired on a Sunday morning, and just save some of that fuel.
Yeah, I'm just watching Justin here. He seems to be pushing pretty hard. He's running wide on a few corners and maybe trying to keep ahead of Ross. Whereas if he was being a little bit smarter, try and save the tyres, save the car, don't push it too hard and risk getting it off track. Perhaps it might be smart for him to let Ross through if Ross has got the pace at the moment. Ross is driving nice smooth lines here. He's not running too wide. Seems to be keeping up with Justin in the tow. So smart driving from Ross.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is, with the incident cap, another strategy some of these teams could employ, putting a lot of pressure on the driver in front to try to force the incident limits up, or a mistake which will force incident limits up, which could put the competitor on the back foot later on today. Because as we were saying, there's a 93 point incident limit from what we understand.
Yeah, 93 points. So these teams will be managing that quite hard. Just looking at the Selby team, they've already picked up a couple of incidents already, probably from some contact somewhere. So you really do have to be careful. Just looking at the Selby car and Tryhards Racing, they're a good 10 or 12 seconds now behind the leaders of that class. Yeah,
so they're dropping fair ways back, aren't they? We can see the Tryhards Racing at the moment. They're leading Selby, and then just behind them we have Lone Wolf Racing. And I tell you what, we just saw the 322 there in the corner of the camera, getting a bit squirrely there off the hairpin.
Yeah, very. It's going to give, as long as Paul can get a good exit up through Eau Rouge and Radion here, he might get a good run up Camel Straight. So just keep in his toe, save some fuel, save the tyres, and keep working on that strategy.
Yeah, so he's got the toe now as they come into Lacombe's, or Lacombe's, or whatever. Lacombe's, we'll call it that. That's what it probably is. Got a bit of a draft there, but not enough to make a move. But as always, these cars are beautifully presented, and a beautiful sight out there on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, they got some great liveries out in the field. I know Paul Mansell did the livery for our car, and the Tryhards cars look great as well. But all throughout the field, all the teams put in a huge effort to make their cars look good. So it's great to see.
Oh, it certainly is, and I know a lot of the teams, the way sim racing's going now, you've got your professional painters out there. They've been around for a while, but I think they are starting to get busy with business, because a lot of these teams now, especially with sponsors, they need those cars to look professionally presented.
Yeah, that's right. There are quite a few little sponsorships involved these days, ranging from free product, I guess, up to maybe a bit of cash as well. So it's good to see that level of professionalism racing in the sport.
Oh, it certainly is, and the I think I'm going on to 6 years being on iRacing. I tell you what, 6 years watching sim racing evolve in Australia, it has come on leaps and bounds.
But the Selby cars just made a move on Brett Woods in the other GT3 Audi, so he's taken that position back, just coming into the last corners before the start-finish line.
Oh, it was contact. That was Motorless Motorsport into the side of Selby, and fortunately both of them continued, but tryhards are definitely trying hard at the moment.
They're trying very hard, and yeah, like we said before, you really want to avoid bumping someone here, because any damage to the front of the car especially is really going to hurt your straight line speed. So hopefully that tryhards car hasn't been affected, if it's given the Selby car a bit of a touch up there.
Yeah, I was just on exit, just out of the chicane there. They got out of the corner a bit better and just tapped them on the side, but that's probably the most dangerous part, to tap them, because that's when you're on full acceleration, and a little bit of a tap like that can send the car around.
Yeah, it can, yeah. So it takes a bit of driving skill, and these days actually we've had a tyre update on the GT3 cars and most of the other cars in iRacing, so I think it's up to a tyre model version 6 now. I think you might need to correct me there, Bernie, but it's so much more predictable, and the tyre model now, previously in the GT3 cars, if you got bumped and you got pushed sideways or lost a bit of control, it was very hard to control the car, but it's much better these days.
Yeah, I think the Porsche was the first one to get that new tyre model, wasn't it? And then they rolled it out. Or are you saying they've had another update since that?
No, that's the same update, but I remember hopping in the Porsche when that came out, and I thought, oh my god, this is fantastic. It drives like a real car should. Why don't the rest of the cars on iRacing have this tyre model? And they rolled it out soon after, which is great.
Yeah, it's you can actually feel the tyre gripping up, can't you? And when I was driving the Porsche, I could actually feel when the inside front tyre actually lifted off the ground. That's how good it was. You could feel it through the steering.
Yeah, it actually feels like the tyre's got some sidewall now, and you can feel the grip, and you can feel it slide, and it doesn't overheat in an instant like the old model used to, so you can get a bit sideways and use a bit more throttle and still control the car in a bit of a tail end sort of drift, and not end up spinning out. So yeah, much more realistic from what I've experienced driving real cars in the past. So yeah, it was a fantastic addition to see, and I'm sure they can keep improving it still. But the key is, we've, even in practice for this round, coming up through Eau Rouge, when you got sideways in a car going up through Eau Rouge and Radion, was very difficult to save previously, but in the GT3 yesterday, I was drifting and sliding up through Eau Rouge just as Paul spins the Selby car through Eau Rouge as I'm talking. Maybe I should stop talking about sliding through Eau Rouge.
Yeah, and we've just having a look at the replay here, and the LMTI HPD was trying to get around the Laser Racing Porsche on the outside. The Porsche drifted wide, got tagged, and the first of our spinners.
Yeah, lucky, no real damage there, so the race continues on. No safety car yet either, so we've been racing now for a good 20 minutes and haven't seen a safety car or major damage, so that's good.
Yeah, it definitely is good, but that was just showing, and we're going to go back and have a look at this replay of the spin that Paul Mansell just had as well. We'll go back a bit further, sorry folks, and see exactly what happened here. So he spun it at Eau Rouge, are you saying?
Yeah, I think it was a self-inflicted spin. I'm guessing just trying to pull away from the Tryhards Racing GT3 car that he'd overtaken earlier on that lap.
Tell you what, you don't want to spin there. And he was lucky he didn't get cleaned up by that HPD as we see the super slow-mo. But in a way, he's lucky he looped it, because if he hadn't have looped it, you got that wall that comes up very quickly. We saw in real life Formula 1 go in there, and it's very scary indeed.
Yeah, that was a massive impact, and I mean, the good thing is that he felt the car drifting early in the corner and was able to slide and not hit a wall. The worst place to actually spin coming out through Eau Rouge is over the crest through Radion there. If you're going flat out in sixth gear over that crest and lose control, you can end up hitting a wall very, very hard.
Oh, exactly right, and it can end your day very quickly. Fortunately, they have two fast repairs, but they don't want to bank on that. Looking back at that incident between Class C and Class A, it goes to show, you know, the HPDs, they handle like they're on rails, and going around the outside of a Class C car, I'm not putting on any blame on anyone, folks, but it did show how much the Class C cars will drift to the outside of the circuit, and it's something the HPD guys have to be mindful of if they go for that outside pass.
Yeah, and it was an interesting incident. Just watching that replay, it looked like there was a reasonable amount of room there for the HPD. Perhaps the Laser Racing car could have left a bit more, but either way, it was a minor incident. Pretty unfortunate for both teams there, because no doubt the HPD's probably picked up a few scratches and dings from that one as well.
Yeah, that's right, and it looked like the Laser Racing went quite deep under brakes and got that run on the inside, and sort of it almost looked like they were trying to make a move back on the HPD at the time. So you know, not putting any blame on anyone, folks. It's a racing incident, and the racing continues. Craig Edwards at the moment, they're leading Daniel Benefield by 0.8 of a second, but they've stretched their legs, haven't they? 6.9 seconds back to Dynamic Sim Racing 4 last time they went across the line, and then again 2 seconds back to Phil Hobbs in the Redback Racing Team White as he negotiates the Class B leaders.
Yeah, actually putting in some good lap times at the moment there, so quite a nice break on the cars behind.
Yeah, and then probably 3 seconds now, because the traffic is Aaron Farmer, Dynamic Sim Racing, as he clears the ARM racing car under brakes going into the final chicane here. 11 laps down, folks, 9 hours 36 minutes to go until the end of the race.
Yeah, we've got some of the HPDs here moving through the GT3 field, so obviously if they can get past the GT3s on a straight bit of track, it's much easier and safer, as we've just seen with Jason Hyde going past Justin Alderton.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and I was just typing to the people in the chat channel there, and Jason Hyde, I haven't really heard of that name much, so maybe it's just my old band brain forgetting things.
We're all getting old, Bernie.
Well, you're getting old, I'm eternally young.
To see Ross Rizzo has been following Justin Alderton in second position there, and he's let Justin get ahead just a little bit, but I'd be thinking that was probably more likely to the HPD traffic coming through, and it's a point worth noting that you can be up pretty close behind another competitor, but if you have to let faster cars through, if it doesn't work in your favour, it can really put you down a couple of seconds on the car in front, and if you lose the tow, it can make it a bit hard to catch back up again. So perhaps that's what's happened there between positions 1 and 2 in the GT3 field.
Yeah, well, we saw a lot of HPDs going through, so he might have been facilitating that those passes. But we say at each round, it's an art form not only for Class A or the faster classes to make those moves. It's also an art form for the slower classes to minimise the amount of time they lose while those passes are being made.
Right, and in the Class C field there, the GT3 cars in the top 4 positions are only separated by 5 seconds. So it looks like Trent Thomas in the Fusion Sim racing car and Eric Thorpe in the Swift racing car are doing a pretty good job keeping up there, just running a steady pace and not letting the leaders get too far away.
Yeah, and it looks like the Mercedes are extremely strong here, doesn't it? Because they're pretty much holding the first 4 positions. Just having a look back at Brett Woods, he's the first of the Audis, so the Mercedes are going to be pretty hard to beat around here, I think.
Yeah, the Mercedes has been a great choice for a GT3 car for the past 3-4 months or so with the balance of power. So we'd expect them to see them up the front here at this track. They've got good top end speed and they're good under brakes and exiting corners. It's a really good all-round car.
They're definitely a good all-round car, but I can't get my head around it for a couple of reasons. But one thing I don't like about it is it feels like a massive car. It feels like one of those big old Sydney Fords, Sydney taxis that are the Fords, very wide, feels very heavy to me.
They feel like a boat, especially when you hop out of an Audi into one of those. But they managed to find the pace. So a nice car to drive, quite controllable if you get a bit sideways.
Yeah, definitely. It's just that wide part that I can't get my head around. I think I prefer the Audi because it feels more like almost like a sports car in the way it handles, the size of it seems more appropriate to me.
Looking at Class B there, the Extreme Racing Porsche of Steve Carmichael, thanks to that spin from Michael Hammond touching that HPD earlier, he's got a 7.5 second lead over Michael by the looks of it at the moment.
Yeah, exactly right, and Michael can see him, but he's got a lot of work to do to catch up. And I tell you what, it's going to be a very long 10 hours for these two guys, but I commend them. They turned up. They've actually out there flying the Porsche flag and making the most of it.
Yeah, the good thing about events like this is it is multi-class, so even if you're in a slower car, there's always action. You've got to facilitate being overtaken. You can have battles with some of the slower GT3 cars, for example. And it looks like Michael's really got the foot down at the moment. He's cut another second out of that time deficit. He's only 6.5 seconds away now, so looks like he's really catching Steve Carmichael fairly quickly at the moment.
We just saw how good the HPDs are under brakes. We're looking at the gearbox cam, folks, and you could see how quickly that, I think that was Craig Edwards making a move on Michael Hammond there.
Yeah, the closing speed for some of these HPDs is very quick, and if you're in a slower car and you're not looking at that F3 box, or you haven't got a spotter telling you that there's a HPD coming, if you're not looking in the rearview mirror frequently, it can be a bit of a shock when all of a sudden one of them rears up behind you.
It definitely can be a shock. It gets the old heart pumping, that's for sure, if you're not prepared.
Michael really pushing that Porsche. You can drive the Porsches quite aggressively, so just looking at the back of the Michael Hammond Laser Racing Porsche here, and you can drift the rear end a little bit and really use the throttle to steer the car and get out of corners. So it's just such a great fun car to drive. It really surprises me that there aren't a few more Porsches in this series.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. They have dwindled off, haven't they? We had a very good showing on round 1, and then from round 1 they dropped down to about 5. Now we're down to 2. I'm not sure if the Porsche suffered because dirt's come out, and a lot of the guys that were running the Porsche jumped out of this straight into dirt. But it's a real shame because this car's fantastic.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more choice in iRacing now, and we've seen a lot of drivers have a good crack at the dirt racing so far, and not something I've been able to do yet, but I'm sure I'll give it a go at some point.
Yeah, I've done a few warm-ups. I was meant to compete in it, but life gets in the way sometimes.
Michael Hammond just had another half a second out of that deficit to Steve Carmichael there, so he's really got the foot down in that laser racing Porsche at the moment. And maybe over the next 4 or 5 laps he might even catch back up to the back of that other extreme racing Porsche.
Yeah, and while he's doing that, he's also got his hands full as the faster HPDs are coming through and going through Eau Rouge there. You can just see the way the HPDs are just monstering them, trying to get through.
Yeah, Jason Hyde there had some pretty high closing speed on Aaron Farmer as well, so that could have been a 3-way accident if he had been a bit too aggressive, but thankfully he backed off there, and it's really sticking to the back of Aaron there at the moment through these corners.
Yeah, they're having a great dice, aren't they? And as we jump onto the action now, HRS Racing Simulation sponsors the Performance Motorsports HPD, so it's great to see another team getting some sponsorship out there.
Yeah, exactly right. It's really good to see that input into the series, and there are a huge number of businesses that are in and around the sim racing community, whether they sell sim racing gear or manufacture parts or are involved in gaming or computers in some way. So there's a lot of opportunity for businesses out there to get a logo on a car, and especially with events like this that are broadcast and remain on YouTube and can get quite a lot of viewers.
Well, it's really a great investment if you think that you get a sponsorship deal on a car, they get coverage, and as you said, it's indefinitely up on YouTube. So any time in the future anyone comes across and watches that race, you get that coverage forever. Where on TV, you get the thing, if someone records it, you'll watch it, but then after that, it just goes into the ether, doesn't it?
That's right. And with a lot of these teams run Facebook pages as well and do a lot of social media. So I think some of the bigger guys might have over 1,000 fans of their Facebook pages and are frequently posting about exploits and doing some promotional posts for the brands that sponsor them. But even the smaller teams, like a potential sponsor could come on board and maybe just even offer just to pay for some hosted practice time. It may not cost them much at all to get some pretty solid coverage on a race car.
Yeah, well, I know that it doesn't cost a lot to sponsor a team at the moment, so it's a real good opportunity for business people to get in while the other competitors aren't in, and make that really affordable investment in their business. We just saw Aaron Farmer go off, and he's into the wall hard, and this will be our first safety car here.
I think so, yeah. Actually, the corner before that, he's come up the end of Kemmel straight into Lake Coombe, and I think he's out-braked himself and continued straight ahead at a fair rate of knots, but unless it was some sort of failure, so now he's driven straight into the track wall there. So he's either got an equipment failure or he's completely had brain fade and decided to smash the car to bits.
I'd say that by the way that car's tracking, he's had a failure of some sort, because he's just gone straight on. He's not washed off a lot of speed at all, and then spun it into the wall, re-entering that track.
That car is really having some problems now. It's doing donuts, so this is pretty spectacular viewing from the chopper at the moment. But if you can manage to get this back to the pit somehow, we will avoid a safety car, but it would take a while the way things are going.
Yeah, well, look at it now. There's nothing left of this car. It's looking like a go-kart at the moment.
Yeah, not driving like one, unfortunately, so he's having a lot of trouble keeping it straight. This is definitely going to be one of their fast repairs used up, which means they'll get a brand new car, but of course they've penalised themselves here. It's going to take them a long time to get back to the pits. They're going to lose quite a bit of time, but we still have over 9 hours and 20 minutes to go in the race, so they can still make their way back and get a few positions.
Yeah, I reckon he's had some sort of pedal failure, as you hear it revving. I reckon he's got an accelerator pedal problem in that car, because you could just hear it as he backed it up. It was spinning wheels. Now I think he's blowing the motor, and I would not be surprised at all, folks, if a safety car is called just to allow him to clear this car as he spins it once more. You can just see it. It's like he's got the foot planted on the accelerator.
Yeah, that would certainly explain why he went straight on at the end of Kemmel Straight there. So perhaps he's just pulled a higher gear, like third or fourth gear, just to try and get some traction. And the car's just hit a big bump in the road there and launched in the air. So I'm surprised that he's still moving forward. He's doing a fantastic job if he's got a blown engine and broken accelerator pedal.
Yeah, so folks, we're going to keep an eye on this car, mainly because it's so exciting as he hits the wall once again and flips it. I reckon we should score him. Now he's blowing the motor, underline it. He's
nearly hit another HPD.
Yeah,
very close.
Dangerous as. But I'd give him probably a 10 out of 10 for that pirouette and engine blow mid-air. Fantastic. I know I'm joking, folks, but it's devastating for this car and this team.
Yep, I think a safety car might get called.
Definitely will be a safety car here. He's basically parked it probably in the best spot, but it was extremely close, wasn't it, that he nearly cleaned up that HPD.
Yeah, very lucky, and he hit what we would call in iRacing a landmine, which launches the car and spins it in the air like it's been hit by a landmine. But he's very lucky not to cause some damage. Very
lucky indeed, and they'll use that fast repair. It'll be interesting. We'll keep an eye on that car though and see if Aaron actually jumps out of it and puts someone else in. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he does, especially if they've got some sort of hardware problem. And safety car's out. Lap 17, folks, of this race. And as we said, that was brought out because the 115 had some sort of technical issue out there on the track.
Been trying to see if anyone's team spotter was watching that or listening to the broadcast here and dived into the pits, because if the teams were on the ball, they might choose to take a pit before the safety car got called, if they could predict that, and that could help them in their strategy.
Yeah, well, I'm having a look out there. A couple of cars have pitted. Mark Rayner and the 117, they've pitted. Luke Beck also has made a pit stop. One of the cars that is in at the moment, there's two HPDs in. I don't know if they got in before the safety car, but Justin Strickland in Dynamic Sim Racing 4 are currently getting serviced as we speak. The other one was Fusion Sim Racing, also got to the pits to get serviced. So I wouldn't be surprised, as you said, Nathan, if these guys jumped in early as the safety car was predicted and got that service, because it's a very long pit lane entry here.
Yeah, and I noticed that Justin Strickland, he did drive past that stricken HPD of Aaron Farmer, so it could have been that they were predicting the safety car and made a quick call to get into the pits early, which means they'll be able to get fresh tyres and a full tank of fuel before the safety car is called. Everyone else will only be able to pit after the safety car period has ended, so that will cost them more time. So a great move from Dynamic Sim Racing 4 to get in the pits there.
Yeah, this is what makes a huge difference, isn't it? They're basically using their savvy or strategy, whatever you want to call it, to get a free kick, so to speak, and get those cars in, get them serviced. Now, as far as the rest of the field, I thought once the wave buys were through, they could then take pit service at that point.
I still think they have to wait for race control to tell them that the pits are open, so I'm not quite sure if the procedures have been changed since the last round, but what we'll see now is that the leader, the pace car will pick up the leader. Any cars in the same class that are between the leader of that class and the safety car, they will get a wave around and will be able to drive around to the back of the safety car line. It's quite a long lap, so it'll take them quite a while to go around and catch up.
Yeah, and then once all that's done, I think at that point that's when the pit lane's opened, isn't it? Straight after they do the wave buys.
I think so. That's effectively when we go green racing again. So that means the rest of the field will be running at full speed while they have to take a pit. So those cars will effectively be pitting under green flag, whereas Justin in the Dynamic Sim Racing team and that other HPD, I forget which car it was now, but they've effectively been able to fill the tank up and get back into the safety car line. So great advantage to them.
Yeah, and the other car that took service was the Class A leader. That was Fusion Sim Racing. Took that service, and just having a look to see what happened to the 114 after that huge incident. The 115, it looks like they may have retired that car.
Possibly, yeah, or they're going to have to find another driver to hop in. So especially if there's been a hardware failure, they're not going to be able to do much until another driver can hop into the car. And you might find that with some teams may only have one driver scheduled for 2 or 3 hours by themselves, so there may not be another driver just sitting there ready to hop in.
Well, exactly right. So he may also be exiting the sim, coming back in to see if that fixes it, or he could be trying to fix those pedals. Could even be on the phone, trying to phone a friend to get them in.
That's
but
right.
yeah, but folks, while we're under safety car conditions, it's time for us to where are we? Hang on a second. To take a commercial break here at iRacing for all the fantastic sponsors that are backing this great event. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes, folks, to call the action.
Selby Acoustics is one of Australia's largest online retailers of home theatre and hi-fi accessories. Our website and showrooms in Hallam and Geelong offer over 2,000 quality products and the best prices guaranteed for all your audio and video needs. Our reputation for outstanding customer service and expert advice has been built over years of providing great value and after-sales support. With hundreds of products shipped from our Melbourne warehouse daily, our team understands your passion for all things audio and video.
Hi folks, welcome back to the Spa 10 hour as we're calling it, lap 19, under safety car conditions here because we saw a very spectacular issue with the 115, Aaron Farmer driving it at the time, having some sort of crazy hardware failure, and that car proceeded to pretty much destroy itself in the most spectacular way.
It was certainly spectacular, Bernie, so hopefully they can find another driver to hop back in and continue racing.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll see how we go once we get a restart. And as we were saying before we went to commercial break there, a couple of teams did manage to get into the pit lane, mainly Justin Strickland in the 118 Dynamic Sim Racing 4 car and the class leader at the time, and that was Fusion Sim Racing.
Yeah, so they were able to sneak in there before that safety car was called by the looks of it. So the rest of the HPD field are going to have to pit at the end of this safety car or soon after it, because they're all on their 20th lap at the moment. Whereas, yeah, as you said, Craig and Justin have pitted and have a full tank of fuel now and fresh tyres, so they'll be in a great position at the end of this safety car.
Yeah, definitely. And sorry, I was typing something at the time, but yeah, they'll be in a fantastic position, and they'll capitalise big time once this restart happens, because that's when the advantage will be really noticeable.
Trying to see when this safety car is going to peel off, Bernie. It looks like we might have another lap.
Yeah, and pit lane's still closed at the moment, and we can see the safety car out there. I have a feeling we can see Zach Bevan now in there in the pit lane. It is closed. They might have had a issue with fuel. Just being buzzed here. Hang on a sec.
Quite possible that some cars could be running low on fuel, especially if the safety car comes out close to like 50 minutes to an hour of the race. So one of the things that teams have to consider is they should leave a little bit of fuel in the tank when they pit. They need to ensure that there's enough of a fuel buffer in the car in the last 10 minutes of a stint, because if a safety car gets called and they run out of fuel and they have to pit to take fuel, they will receive a fairly hefty penalty for doing that. So most teams who aren't throwing caution to the wind will pit with about 5 to 10 litres of fuel left in the tank.
Yeah, that's right. And the thing is, with coming into a closed pit, as we said before, you've got a 1 minute 20 hold, and which, as long as you have that hold under safety car conditions, you will stay on the lead lap. But if by chance you did get caught out and they went back to green, which would be quite rare, it'd be pretty devastating.
Yeah, that's right. And look, they're running low on fuel, or running the gauntlet on fuel is something that some teams will be prepared to do, especially if they're in a position where they think they need to be aggressive and they need to make up some time and some places. And I know that we've done that in the Selby team occasionally. If the track seems to be good and there haven't been safety cars for a while and we need to make up positions and do an extra 2 or 3 laps to try and run the tank down, then every now and again you might find that teams will they'll take that risk and they'll run the extra laps. But it is risky if a safety car happens to get called, and we've seen it time and time again, teams having to pit under safety car and taking a pretty big penalty as a result.
Oh, definitely, and it puts you back pretty much for the whole day. As we're having a look out of the blimp, and we can see the field now snaking its way down the hill. They're coming down to, I think, Blanchimont at the moment, and no, they're not. Where are they? Pouon. Pouon?
Yeah, just past Pouon there, and it looks like we'll be going green this time around. So the pits will be open. The field is bunched up, so we'll probably see a number of HPD cars diving into the pits, I imagine, either on this lap or soon after. But we should see some exciting racing for the next 5 or 10 minutes, Bernie, with this field bunched up.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised if we see all the HPDs come in. They must be running really low. They normally do around about a 50-minute stint in Class A. I think Class B does normally about an hour stint, and we have been racing here now for 50 minutes.
Yep, that's right. I think the Class B and C cars, the Porsche and the GT3s, they probably won't be due in for another 10 minutes or so, maybe longer, because obviously running on a safety car, you don't need to use as much fuel here, so cars will be using a taller gear, not much throttle, and maybe even using their clutch to roll down the hill to save fuel. But the HPDs, yes, they'll be probably borderline on fuel right about now.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. We've got Redback Team Red and Redback Team White leading them out, followed by Performance Motorsports HPD. They'll start out of third. Then we have Rory Boyd in the Misfit Motorsport. They will start out of fourth. Matt Zimmerman rounds out your top five, and he's in the LMTI HPD.
Right, so coming out through the bus stop here, we'll probably see the safety car peel off, and let's see how many cars peel into the pits.
Yeah, we're looking from the blimp so we can see it, and as we were predicting, the first 4 HPDs in, just about all the field is coming in at this point to take service. One car did go past. We'll update you shortly, folks, but look at them streaming in, Nathan.
And not surprising, they'd want to come in now. If they go an extra lap in race conditions, it's a chance they'll lose even more time. So pretty good thinking for most of the field. We've seen all a couple of the Porsches, I think, are in there as well, and looks like most of the GT3s.
Yeah, so just about the whole field is now taking service. This is when Fusion Sim Racing are really going to benefit, as you said, and safety car has not peeled in. Where does this safety car go? We're still under safety car conditions. So they must have opened the pit and held them under safety car.
Maybe they have, yeah. I was expecting the safety car to come in, so this is a big advantage for these cars pitting under safety car now, and what they'll have to do is fill up with fuel, put some tyres on, and get out of the pits and go like crazy to try and catch the back of that safety car before we go green on the next lap. So for those 2 HPD cars that pitted before the safety car, for them to have any advantage, they really want to get under green flag racing before the rest of the field catches back up.
Yeah, so we just had news that safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap. So that sort of nullifies that advantage, doesn't it, that Fusion Sim Racing and the what's the second car there? Oh man, where's my button? Dynamic Sim Racing made, but saying that they will be at the front of the field and won't be mixed up in all that traffic because now there's no wave buys.
That's right, yeah. Craig Edwards is back out of the pits early. They've just topped up with fuel, already had fresh tyres, so at least it'll put them at the front of the pack. But gee, it's a shame that we can't pit under safety car. I know there are issues with the way iRacing handles safety cars and so on for road racing, but it just takes so much strategy out of this endurance racing, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'm just having a look at our chat at the moment, and hang on a second.
Looks like the 115 had to retire because of the incident limit. They didn't have many incidents left after bashing it up so badly. So really unfortunate for those guys.
Yeah, exactly right. And I was just having a read of that, and that's exactly what's happened there. It's they've pulled the car because of the amount of damage they got on incident points, and they felt it wasn't worth continuing that car. So that's the first of our retirement.
Yeah, an interesting situation that, because we know that in previously there was no disqualification if you hit that incident limit. All you would receive if you went over the incident limit is a 10-point championship penalty for every 10 incident points that you exceeded over the nominal amount. So but in this situation now, with the rule change, these guys have had to retire. They can't even use a fast repair and get out because it's virtually guaranteed that they would have used that one more incident point at some point in the next 9 hours and been disqualified from the race, which is pretty tough, especially if that was just a stuck pedal or some sort of problem like that they couldn't control at the time.
Yeah, but saying that, in real life, you don't get any fast repairs. You don't get an incident limit. Well, you do. It's normally called hitting the wall very hard, and you exceed that incident limit.
That's right, yep. Unfortunate for them. I think I have to agree with you, Bernie. And I know I, for one, advocated last year in the Australian Endurance Series to remove fast repairs altogether, just to keep it a bit more realistic. But again, that's tough for some of the teams that don't have experienced drivers. So looks like a safety car should be coming in here and about to go back green.
Yeah, so having a look who's going to lead us out. Justin Strickland will be leading us out. Dynamic Sim Racing. I'm just trying to work out what happened to Fusion Sim Racing. I thought they were leading them out. Mark Rayner, 117, will be in second, and then third is Craig Edwards for Fusion Sim Racing. So they started out at third position.
That's right, yeah. Mark Rayner hasn't pitted yet. They must be slightly off strategy. They've done, this is their 16th, 17th lap in that car. So Justin Strickland, this is his 6th lap, or Craig Edwards and the other HPDs behind have all pitted with fresh fuel and tyres, it looks like. So it looks like Mark Rayner is going to have to pit in the next 5 to 6 laps.
We can see further back who's that, Daniel Benefield. He's trying to clear George Alamaris at the moment for Dynamic Sim Racing. So we're saying that all three of these cars are in a hefty battle as 2, 3, 4 go on the inside of that Audi, who's rightfully so staying well out of the way of these guys.
That's right, yeah. Darren's just trying to keep his Audi nice and clean with no incidents and let those HPDs pass.
We just saw one of the Tryhards car there. That's the Mercedes GT3. Got the car up there on the ripple strip a little bit, and that Zach Bevan, he nearly cleaned up a couple of HPDs who were diving on the inside, and no fault of his. It just shows how much on the limit a GT3 is, especially when they put a couple of wheels on that ripple strip, which of course they need to do, don't they? Because these cars don't handle as well as the HPDs.
No, that's right. And once you're committed to a corner, it's pretty hard to brake or deviate from that line. So it's really up to the HPDs to be careful and get around those GT3 cars in a safe manner.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's also, as we saw, the HPD drivers, they don't take any prisoners. They're in a race just like everyone else. But yeah, what can you say? But yeah, Justin Strickland leading at the moment in the 118. Mark Rayner second, third in Class A, Craig Edwards, Phil Hobbs fourth, fifth is George Alamaris. A bit of an update on Class B, folks. We have Darren Bull for Lone Wolf Racing leading the class at the moment, and then Ross Rizzo second for GTI. Third is Zach Bevan in Razorback Racing 3, who's now in the pits to take service, and that brings Josh Nowak for Swift Racing up, and then Paul Mansell for Selby is sitting, I think, in 7th in class.
That's right, but he should move up now. I think the 320 car, which was Zachary Bevan, they entered the pit lane when the pit lane was closed, so they received a drive-through penalty for that, which is why he's entered the pits. Okay,
so let's have a look so it's a drive-through, is it? Is that what you're saying?
It looks like a drive-through. I don't think he'll be stopping. He'll just be continuing through. He was only on his 5th lap of his fuel stint, so there's no reason for them to stop. And I think with a penalty, they're not allowed to stop anyway. So that will put them right down, I think, close to the back, nearly at the back of that GT3 field.
Yeah, so that'll be quite costly for them they've got to make sure they stay on that lead lap, as we said. And we can see the Swift Racing car, Josh Nowak there, making a move on the 340. That's Matt Dignam, and that was our Class B leader prior to the pit stops.
Yeah, they'll be battling hard, these guys, at the moment. We can see that Darren Bull, although he's in first position in that class, he's on the 12th lap of his stint. So they're slightly out of sync with their pit stop strategy, and so when Darren pits. Ross at the moment would inherit the lead, but these guys are battling pretty hard. There's Josh Nowak here has nearly caused a bit of contact with someone.
Well, that's with Stephen Carmichael. That's the leader of Class C. And we can see again the Class B drivers, they're absolutely taking no prisoners. They don't want to get a gap, but by saying that, they also don't want to take out the Class C leader because that's not going to be looked on favourably by anybody.
That's exactly right, and now we're seeing the issue with having two classes that are a reasonably similar pace here. The Porsche is catching up to the back of the Selby car here, which is tucked in behind Matthew Dignam, but yeah, nice to see that Stephen Carmichael here has backed out a little bit and let the GT3 cars continue on.
Yeah, and we can see the Swift cars spun.
Yeah, it looks like contact with Michael Hammond in the other Porsche car there.
Yeah, we're going back to the super slow-mo here, and I tell you what, you know, it's up to the GT3s to make a safe move, and I think some of the GT3 drivers are a bit excited at the moment.
Yeah, although Josh had the inside line there, and looks like he might have outbraked himself just a little bit, but in saying the GT3 cars have to get past cleanly, it might have also been in Michael Hammond's interest just to back off a bit and let Josh through, because he did have a bit of a gap on Steve Carmichael, and I think Michael would think he has the pace over Steve at the moment as well. So yeah, I'd say look, probably 50-50 on the blame there if I was to make a call. Yeah,
I just had a look at the full-on incident. You're right, he did have the inside line. He wandered wide. He went a bit wide, which you do in that chicane because it's so tight, and as you said, Michael got on into the side of him and spun him. So yeah, there could have been a bit of give and take by both sides, I think.
Now yeah, the arm racing cars just got past Michael Hammond here, and Selby GT3 Audi is it's just had contact. It looked like he was trying to get up the inside of the laser racing Porsche there, and has just nudged the car. It looks like both cars are still racing. It's lucky for them, but yeah, you certainly don't want to see contact like that.
Yeah, I'll just have a look at this in full time because I was in a replay mode, which sometimes I do, especially on an early Sunday morning. So we'll have a look at this, but you're right, they don't want that sort of contact earlier on. And yeah, Michael, he's going to be spewing at the moment. 2 incidents in one lap, and another racing incident, of course, that wasn't any fault of of Paul Mansell. And yeah, you can see Michael there flashing his lights going, what the hell?
Yeah, not happy, but look, the faster cars will also be trying to get past what they see as a slower car. So you know, the forums are always full of discussion about slow cars versus faster cars and overtaking in endurance racing like this. So no doubt we'll see a few more forum posts at the end of this race as well, but the Selby car now is pulled clear, as you can see, and is just trying to catch back up to the 340, the arm racing car driven by Matthew Dignam. So GT3 field spread out a bit as Michael Hammond spins himself coming onto the main straight there. So Michael's just not having a good last lap or two.
Yeah, sorry, I was just on the chat channel. I can see a lot of the viewers out there are enjoying our stream. That's fantastic. We're glad you are enjoying it, and hopefully you'll stick with us. We'll be on air, of course, till 12 o'clock today, and then we'll be taking a well-earned break, but we'll come back this afternoon, 4 o'clock, and we'll be covering the race, the last 3 hours of the race, plus post-race interviews at 4 o'clock. Probably we'll go through till about 8 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, it's great that we've got so much coverage, Bernie, and all the teams appreciate the fact that you make the effort here to broadcast the race and do a fantastic job, and it really helps all the teams get a bit of exposure as well, and a bit of a buzz for the guys to have a broadcast race. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, it definitely is. And one of our viewers has asked, how many drivers per team are they allowed? I think it's about 3, isn't it, Nathan?
I believe the minimum is probably 2, but I think teams can have up to 4 drivers, maybe even more. So I know that the Selby team we've got 4 drivers usually scheduled. We'll probably have 3 today, as it looks like the Laser Racing Porsche is under investigation for careless driving and has been issued a drive-through penalty. So Michael Hammond, really not having a good time at the moment, having to do a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, their race control, of course, is looking at it, and we can see now the 347 tucked right up behind the Laser Racing entry here. 347's also carrying some front-end damage on that car, so that could affect its top-end speed.
Absolutely, yeah. So it looks like that penalty for the Laser Racing car has come from that contact with Josh Nowak going through the bus stop. So interesting that race control deemed that was a Laser Racing issue there. I wouldn't have put all the blame on Michael for that one, but anyway, we continue racing.
We certainly do, and Dynamic Sim Racing is leading Mark Rayner, excuse me folks, in Dynamic Sim Racing 3. So where's Craig Edwards? Fusion Sim Racing, he's not too far behind. We'll get a gap this time. He was 4 seconds. Well, he's only really made up 4/10 of a second here, and of course he's out of the draft, so that's not going to help him too much.
No, you'll have to push hard to try and catch up. And just looking at the stints that these drivers have had now, Justin Strickland's on his 11th lap, Mark Rayner's on his 22nd lap, so I'm presuming he'll be due to pit fairly soon. And the rest of the field, Craig Edwards, Daniel Benefield and Phil Hobbs, will then continue to move up the leaderboard.
Okay, and one of the viewers have come back with they don't think there is a driver upper end limit, but you must run at least 2 drivers. So,
yep.
Yeah, but it makes sense to have, like as Selby's doing, have 4 drivers scheduled with the potential of using 3, because if you go in with 2 and one has a hardware issue, that car pretty much is out of the race.
Yeah, and look, we've seen it every round. You know, some team has some sort of hardware or internet connection problem. So certainly teams that have more than 2 drivers, so 3 or 4 drivers, or even 5 at their disposal, it's a great advantage.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I wonder if they've thought about the Brocky factor. You know, are these drivers allowed to cross-enter different cars?
No, I don't think they are, Bernie. So I know that to be able to move within teams, there might be the facility to do that, but certainly not to different teams or different types of cars. Although I did notice Brett Woods, who was driving in a Porsche for the last few rounds, is now driving in a GT3 car. So it looks like if a team has removed themselves as an entry, their drivers might be able to be redistributed to other teams.
Okay, yeah, that may be the case, although I think it's a great shame that a Class C entry's pulled for some of their drivers are going to Class B, but that's just me, and it's just because the Class C field has 2 cars in there, and I'd love to see that field have a minimum of about 8 to make it interesting.
Yeah, I agree with that. I doubt they pulled the Porsche because they needed drivers for the GT3 car. It's more likely they pulled the Porsche because they didn't think there was enough competition. So anyway, we can follow that up with Brett Woods and the team after the race. But continuing along, the Dynamic Sim Racing cars at the front of the pack here have got a good 5-second gap over the Fusion Sim Racing car from Craig Edwards in the HPD class. We're
just doing the usual thing, top end speed of the HPDs under tow, 294 kilometres at the end of Kemmel Straight, and of course we're going to do the same thing for the GT3 and for the Porsche, as we see the leader of the Porsche class just coming back on track after a bit of a lose. Trying to look, Bernie, at the top speed for the GT3 cars down Kemmel, but
I'd be tipping that it'd be around the 260 odd kilometres an hour mark, depending on the gearing and the draft. But I think the Porsches would be up around there or slightly higher.
Yeah, we're going to jump on board with Ross Rizzo here. I think it's fair to do it that way because he's probably got a little bit of a toe, just like that HPD did. And we'll jump on board and see what he can get this GT3 up to. So what do you reckon he's going to get to?
Look, I think Ross could hit, I'm going to take a punt here and say 260.
Okay, 260 it is. I reckon he's going to hit about 266. So, just to be different.
You've been watching something, Bernie.
Here he comes up the back straight. 250, 252, 3. 254 he tapped out it.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, maybe they're running slightly higher wing. I know that the GT3 car can get higher speed down that straight if they're running a low wing setup.
Well, what we'll do is let's jump back to your car and see what it tops out at. It's going now 251, 252, topped out at 252 kilometres an hour.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know what sort of setup we're running, and it's not the lowest downforce setup you could have, so that makes sense. But I think this is a track where you have to compromise a little bit because you need a bit of wing and a bit of downforce to get around some of these corners, especially the higher speed corners. But you don't want to run too high a wing because Kemmel Straight is a long straight and it's the best opportunity for an overtake.
Yeah, so it's a real compromise, isn't it? And I'm just having a look, folks, and it looks like we can call Class C. Steve Carmichael, Extreme Racing, congratulations for winning the race. Record time here, 1 hour 10 minutes, so this car could pretty much park it by lunchtime and win, because I'm saying that because it looks like Laser Racing has unfortunately retired that car, so we're down to one Porsche.
That's no good.
No, it's no good at all. And getting back to what you were saying, like this class was struggling, and it becomes a bit of a snowball action, doesn't it? Because as the fields diminish, other teams then potentially pull the car because there's not enough competition, which further reduces the competition, which means at the end of the day you end up with a winner an hour and 10 minutes into the race.
Yeah, that's right. Look, you need I guess a minimum number of cars to get I guess good competition and close racing. And at the end of the day, you want to have close racing in your class with fellow competitors. And perhaps there was a too big a spread of driver ability in that small field, so some cars were finishing way ahead of others or something like that. I'm not really sure. I know it was a fairly new car when it was introduced to this series, but yeah, real shame. It's just such a great car to drive, and we've seen from the support for some of the Porsche hosted series that have been running on weeknights throughout the week. There's some huge fields, so just watching Steve Carmichael in the Porsche out-brake himself into the bus stop there near the end of the block, but he's on, but no doubt picked up another off-track there, so have to keep an eye on those off-tracks.
Definitely, and to be fair to Steve, we're going to cover him, even though he's the only Porsche runner out there, because I reckon he deserves coverage. He doesn't have sponsors either, but if he did have sponsors, he deserves the coverage just for turning up and continuing to run that Porsche today.
Yeah, interesting. Just was going to see what sort of top speed they hit down Kemmel Straight here and see if they are faster than the GT3 cars. They should be a tiny bit quicker by the end of the straight.
Yeah, we better do that before we lose the last of the Porsches. 255, so about as fast as the Mercedes. But remember that this car's without a tow. The other car we had was in a tow.
That's right, but you'll certainly see the braking performance isn't anywhere near as good. There's no ABS at all in the Porsche, so it's a lot tougher to brake and turn into a corner. There's a lot of weight over the rear of the car, so it takes a bit of adjustment when you hop into the Porsche. You feel like you have to turn into a corner a lot earlier than you do in a GT3 car, because you have to let the front tyres grip up, turn the car in, and really use the throttle to get the Porsche through the corner and out of the corner. The exit is fantastic in the Porsche. You can really give it a lot of throttle and really get on the power hard, which is great fun.
Oh, it's a great car. I love that car. I almost like it as much as I used to like the McLaren about 4 years ago before something happened to it and it became a dog to drive.
All the cars change over time, unfortunately, so cars can go from good to bad within 12 months based on the balance of power that iRacing applies. But I haven't driven the McLaren myself, Bernie. I've driven a bunch of the other cars, but not the McLaren.
Yeah, that was my go-to car back in the day. But then again, what did you have in the GT3s? We had the McLaren and probably the BMW were the two GT3 cars of choice.
Yeah, I think they probably were. We used to drive the Rough, which was the Porsche copy, but that was a great fun car to drive as well.
Yeah, that's right, and we can see one of the Mercedes coming in for pit, and we had a protest dismissed. DSR Motorsport put in a protest on the 101, which is the redback racing car, and on lap 23, but that's been dismissed by race control.
Zachary Bevan, going through the pits at the moment. Looks like a bit of damage on the front right of their car, so that is perhaps why they are pitting, because he's only done 8 laps in the stint. So I'm presuming there must have been some sort of incident.
Yeah, I'm just having a look and hearing it. Gee, those cars sound good.
Yeah, love the V8. They sound fantastic.
Yeah, I'm just having a look back to see if we can find any incidents from Zach that's made him bring that car in. I can't really see any at the moment.
No, I haven't been able to see anything either, Bernie. So it looks like they might have taken a fast repair though, because that damage seems to have disappeared. So Owen Attard has now hopped into the car, and they'll be putting tyres and probably fuel into the car there. Probably not a long stop because they won't need a lot of fuel. They've only done 7 or 8 laps on that last stint. Yeah,
that's right, and throwing another driver in sometimes can be of benefit if there's been an incident. Sometimes, the drivers could get a little bit rattled. Not saying Zach has, but sometimes you've got to pull them out, don't you? Then again, he's been driving for how long now? We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes, so that's a pretty long stint for a driver.
Yeah, possibly something else has popped up and he's had to exit the car, but we've all been there, Bernie. You get involved in an accident and it can really shake you and throw you, and you start making a few mistakes after that, or you're not feeling confident in the car again, especially if it's picked up a bit of damage. Then sometimes it's best just to pit it, put a fresh driver in, take a fast repair and get back out there later.
Yeah, exactly right. And I know I tried when years ago when driver swaps first came in, probably a year ago, whatever. I tried my first tip at an enduro. It was a short one. I think it was about a 4-hour enduro. The poor guy that teamed up with me, I think I did one stint, and I got out of the car and I said, "You take it home from here," and I walked away. And this poor guy did about 3 hours of the race, and that was the last time I think I was offered a drive in an enduro.
Yeah, we've all been there, Bernie, unfortunately, but hopefully most of the guys here today are ahead about them and focus and concentration. It's pretty hard actually for a long stint. It really takes a lot of effort to keep your mind sharp and keep focusing and hit all your apexes, and especially if you're doing multiple stints. So some of these guys will be doing maybe 2 or 3 hours in a row here, so it is a real challenge.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think I've got a bit of a habit of biting off more than I can chew. When I was about 30, I decided I was going to get back into mountain biking. So at the time, my then wife thought it was probably a bit, his dreamings type of situation. So went out, got a really nice mountain bike, said to the guy, he said, "Well, I think that's beyond your abilities." I said, "Don't worry, I'm going to grow into it." And went down a steep hill, went over the handlebars, ended up face first into a mulberry bush or whatever it was, with my ex-wife laughing at me, and then I knew my limit at that point. The guy that sold me the bike was right. I never did grow into that bike, and I think it's sitting in the shed at the moment.
It's always good to challenge yourself, so glad to hear you gave it a go, Bertie.
Yeah, until I found the first downhill section. Apparently in the mountain bike, when you go down a hill, 2 things: don't use a front brake, and 2, you're supposed to lean backwards a little bit.
Alright, I'll remember that the next time I hop onto a mountain bike.
Yeah, well, based...
Which won't be any time soon.
No, I was going to say, based on your leg, probably not a good idea. So, speaking of your leg, mate, you're on the mend, and a bit stiff, but you're looking at possibly jumping in the car a bit later on today.
Yeah, I think I'll have to. So, like I was saying to you off air before, it was, I think, 7 weeks yesterday since I broke my right leg, and bones healed up fairly well, but the knee's still quite stiff and a bit sore. So, hopped back in the sim rig yesterday for the first time to put the seat back a bit further than I normally use. So the position was a little bit weird, but did a few laps, helped the guys with some setup work, and because we've got one driver down today, it looks like I'll probably have to hop in and try and do a couple of stints this afternoon. So fingers crossed, we see how we go.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how your leg holds up. Hopefully it could be good for it. As I said off air, it might help you stretch that leg out a bit. Also, you're going to need some time to practice, so at 11 a.m. I've got Bailey Hall jumping in, and we can then release you to the iRacing gods or whatever you want, or you can stay with us if you really want to. Either way, it's up to you.
I think I might need the practice, Bernie. I'll be a bit rusty. It's been 8 weeks since I've driven anything on iRacing, so a bit of practice will be good, I think.
Yeah, no worries. And I guess, that a lot of drivers do that, don't they? Through the day, they actually, like football players, they actually jump in to their own session and do a warm up. They try to get the weather the same, get the setup in, get used to the way the car is, any brake bias adjustments they may want to make before they get in and do their stint. Yeah,
for sure. The series teams will definitely do that, especially if there's a championship on the line or it's a big race. So I know it can be hard if you hop in the car and you haven't driven it for a couple of hours maybe, or for the last day or so. You just want to get your eye in, as they say. So it's a bit easier if you qualified the car and then you're starting in the car at the start of the race. You've already had seat time in the morning, but some of these drivers that are going to hop in shortly and do their first stint, they're really going to have to take it easy for the first lap or two and get their eye in, or maybe do a bit of a warm-up beforehand.
Yeah, and like any athlete, they have to get their eye in, get the body warmed up, and as you said, jump in ready to get into the thick of things. And it might be time for us to do a bit of an update of each class. In Class A at the moment, Dynamic Sim Racing's leading that class, 7.8 seconds back to Fusion Sim Racing, who's worked their way up to second. Redback Racing Team Red, 11 seconds down in third. Fourth, Performance Motorsports HBD, 19 seconds down. Fifth is Redback Racing Team White, 20 seconds down. Then we've got Dynamic Sim Racing 2 and 6, followed by Redback Racing Team Black in 7th, VPR in 8th, 9th, Misfit Motorsport, and rounding out your top 10 in Class A is LMTI number 129.
Yeah, spread out a little bit now. The leaders are doing a good job, but I think we'll see that the top car there from Justin, they're probably going to have to pit a little bit earlier, maybe 4 laps earlier than the other guys in the field at the moment.
Yeah, and one of the viewers was saying they had no idea iRacing did long endurance racing, and I guess this has really come in, hasn't it, since the driver changes came in. It's made these longer races possible.
Yeah, that's when I really got hooked on iRacing, to be able to to have a team, to work together, work on a strategy, find a setup that works for both of you, and do a long race where you really do have to concentrate and focus for that long and work together as a team. Yeah, I thought that was a fantastic thing. So it's when Sean and I started our little Selby team, and we've been racing for the last couple of years, just doing mostly these enduros and some sprint events. But it's just fantastic that you can do it with mates.
Yeah, exactly right. It just brings that element, and this year the way the Selby Endurance Sports Car Championship is set up, folks, it is 10 rounds. Each round is 10 hours, but that's just because that's the way they've chosen to do it this year. Last year, when we had the Australian Endurance Championship, there were quite a few 24-hour races going on that year, and I think that definitely pushed a lot of the teams and drivers to their absolute limit.
Yeah, I think we did a 24-hour race here at Spa last year for the Endurance Championship, and I remember our car, I think we started from pit lane, and the four of us had quite a schedule worked out. It was bigger effort than we thought, actually, so it made the finishing place we received that much better. We were really pumped at the end of it to have achieved what we achieved over a 24-hour period. So I think as the races get longer, they mean more as well when you get a good result. So it was great fun.
Yeah. I'd probably do 1 hour stint and hand it over to you, like I always do. But one of the viewers on that were asking about do we have day-night cycles on this yet, as well as dynamic weather. Well, no, we don't have day-night cycles. It's one of the things the community's been asking for quite a long time, and it's something that iRacing seriously lacks and needs, especially for enduro racing. Just to add it, basically the way it works, folks, is it's a bit like a window box, so you can now choose between early morning, afternoon or nighttime racing, but it won't transition between them. We do have dynamic weather though, as far as it can be foggy, overcast, hot, but we don't have rain, which is another thing the road racers really want, is to have wet weather racing transition through. And I think, Nathan, they must be close because they're simulating dirt now and dirty tracks, so they must be looking towards dry lines, wet lines, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I guess the other thing that you did mention is the evolution of the track as well. So I mean, we know iRacing's put a lot of effort into how the track evolves over the time of a race, or the duration of a race. And if we watch inboard or from a chase cam review on one of the cars, you'll be able to see that the corners now are really starting to rubber up. So we're starting to see some quite dark areas of the track where a lot of rubber's been laid down, and those parts of the track will heat up. They'll become a bit stickier usually, and that will really affect the way the car handles. So that, and I guess the addition of dust and dirt particles that can get thrown onto the track, that really adds to the realism as well.
Yeah, and we're having a quick look out of the blimp view here, folks, and we'll stick with it. Just have a look at the some of these corners as they come through. This is a good example. You can just see it starting to rubber up now. The other thing it does, not only does it rubber up, but offline it builds up all those marbles as well.
That's right, yeah, and you will find it does get a bit slippery out on the marbles. And yeah, teams during the week, those who put a lot of practice in they might run on they might set up a hosted session with a heavily worn track, and so they'll work on a setup that works on a well rubbered in or well worn track as opposed to a fresh track. So you might find over the course of this race that some teams who are reasonably quick in the first 1 or 2 or 3 hours may not be quite as quick in the later stages of the race, when other teams have worked more on a worn track setup, and they might find some more speed near the back end of the race.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how the race comes to some drivers and goes away from some drivers or their car setups, as we see Ross Rizzo now on the inside of Fusion Sim Racing and makes that move, and just trying to think. I think that was a car down, because second is the 347. The sister car with Trent Thomas driving that at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. A little bit of a gap between those guys now, but they're moving along at a pretty good rate. We're seeing that, unfortunately, Steve Carmichael in the only remaining Porsche has been pinged for avoidable contact. So it looks like he'll have to do... he's got a black flag there. He might have to do a bit of a drive-through penalty to serve that one.
Yeah, so I think it's not going to affect the positions. He's now 9 laps above the only other Porsche out there that retired. Unfortunately, there was a laser racing entry.
Yeah, look, if he can keep his incidents under control, he'll be holding the first place trophy regardless. But I guess for them, it's 10 hours is still a challenge. You still want to be able to race quickly and race well and do a good job. And he's got a few more teammates due to hop in the car, so it'll be interesting to see which one of those guys drives the most consistently or the quickest. Maybe they can have a bit of a competition between them to set the fastest lap time.
Yeah, they'd find something for them to do interesting. The other thing is, a lot of these guys jump into iRacing because they love racing. So I guess, if they're going to enjoy the race and the challenge of getting this car to the end, they'll do it regardless of whether there's any competition out there.
That's right. I was just watching the Fusion Sim Racing 348 of Edgar Johns. He's just let Trent Thomas, his teammate, go through. So Trent Thomas has now been released to try and catch Ross Rizzo. So he's still a couple of seconds behind Ross heading onto the main straight, but he's been released from his teammate there.
Yeah, and this car's just gone down a lap, I think, to the leaders. He's sitting in 10th position at the moment in the 348, and we can see one of the HPDs going around the outside. Let's have a look at the top 10 in your Class B as it stands at the moment, folks. So Proforce Racing GTI's leading. They've got a gap of about 2.8 seconds back to Fusion Sim Racing 347. Selby.com.au Racing GT3 team are up into third now. They started around about 5th, I think, 30 seconds down. Arm Racing, they were the Class A leader, and they've faded back to 4th position, 33 seconds down. Swift Racing sitting in 5th, followed by Race on Oz 1 in 6th. And I'm just having a look if that was the car that had the pit lane start.
It was, Bernie, yeah.
So they've done a really good job in getting that car back up to 6th from dead last in Class B. Tryhards Racing 1 sitting in 7th. Razorback Racing is 2 in 8th. 9th, Lone Wolf Sim Racers 3, and they're 2 laps down. And then we have Fusion Sim Racing, the 348, according to this, is 1 lap down, but I think they've just gone down a second lap as well.
Yeah, so they'll be hoping they can get a lap back somehow, maybe through safety car or something else. It looks like Edgar Johns there in the Fusion Sim Racing 348 is on a similar pit window and pit strategy to the other cars there, but Cohen Attard's only on his 7th lap in the 320, so he's going to run a bit longer than the cars ahead of him.
Yeah, and we saw this car in earlier, didn't we? This was the one that had to come in for that fast repair as HPD on the inside. So they're struggling a little bit in this car, but they're out there enjoying the Sunday morning drive and looking at trying to get this car to the end.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it looks like their lap times aren't as quick as the guys at the front there. I think Ross, Trent Thomas are doing 2 minute 20, high 220 lap times, which is pretty solid, and Cohen and Edgar back there are doing 224, 225s, so they might be having a bit of traffic causing them a delay as well, but they're not quite finding the same sort of pace as the leaders, so they'll keep working at it and see if they can pick up a few more spots by the end of the day.
Yeah, and it could be that they're a younger group of, well, newer drivers in that car, and you know, we've seen it in the past, like when Swift Racing came on board of the racing last year, to look at where they were at the start of the season to where they were at the end of the season was like chalk and cheese. As we see Cohen hold on to it, mate, and he does. As that experience kicked in, and I know Swift Racing were taken under the wing of Blackadder Motorsport for that season, and they got a lot of coaching to get that car up to speed, or the drivers up to speed. And I'm rambling a bit, but it takes a long time, doesn't it, to get a team up to speed, get all the guys to gel, and to get on top of getting a good setup of these cars.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of factors to it. So it's you might have 4 drivers in a team, and you have to drive the same car. Not every driver might prefer to drive that car. They might have a slightly different driving style, which might suit a different sort of vehicle. So you've got some differences there. Some drivers are just naturally a bit faster than others, usually. So you might have a couple of stronger drivers, a couple of drivers who aren't quite as quick. You then have to find a setup that works on that car that all 4 drivers are happy with. So you'll see during the race that as different drivers hop into cars, the lap times might vary a bit. They might find the car harder to drive, but perhaps they only do 1 stint in the race, where the other drivers that are more comfortable on this track might do 3 or 4 stints. So the teams have to work together if they want to succeed, to put their best team forward, to come up with the best strategy, work out who's going to drive in what portions of the race. And that can change as you go along too. Teams might change their driver lineups halfway through a race based on the previous 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, well, it comes down to who's on form and who's feeling the car the best, doesn't it, to get the best result?
Yeah, that is exactly right. And you sometimes you'll have a driver who'll hop in, they'll just be in the zone, they'll be knocking out great lap times, and when a pit stop window opens up, they might say, look, I'm happy to just keep driving, and team manager might say, yep, just do another stint if we want to get some good lap times in. And you put your best driver in there and put your best foot forward.
Yeah, and do you know if there's I don't think there is a minimum amount of laps that every driver has to do. I don't think they enforce that, do they?
Yeah, there is on the iRacing server. So I think the way that's worked out is it has to be, if 4 drivers drive, then you would have to drive at least, I think it's a quarter or a third of 1 quarter. So it's actually not that much. You might have to do at least 1 stint, maybe 2 stints in a longer endurance race as a single driver, but that'll be it. So it certainly allows the drivers who are faster to do much longer stints in the race, or drive more stints than the slower driver. I think in this sort of series, you probably only have to drive for an hour if you've got 3 drivers in the car, or even if you've got 4 drivers in the car, 1 stint should probably be enough.
Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that. And I've been corrected by a viewer. It was Mad Cow that took Swift under their wing, not Blackadder. So my mistake there, folks.
But the Mad Cow team, they really offered the Swift Racing boys a lot of help, and we saw that in their consistency. They improved their lap times. They obviously got a bit of setup help as well. I think when you're a new team, it can be really hard to work out what you need to do to the car setup. I remember when I first got involved in sim racing and I looked at a setup page for a car, I just thought, oh, holy crap, what do I change? So it can take a fair bit of learning and a bit of time to get your head around that. So no doubt Mad Cow really helped those guys get sorted with the Mercedes, the BMW that they were running at the time, and how to get a good setup running.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I still look at the setup pages and go, holy crap. I was running the skippies through the week, and it was pushing like a boat. And as you know, on a skippy, all you can really do is change tyre pressures and I think the roll bar. And I was still scratching my head going, what the hell do I do? And I don't think I ever solved it. I ran 3 races in it, or 2 races, and then, as I always do, went to bed.
It can be quite daunting, but I guess these guys too, you've got a lot of people share setups on the forums as well, so that can be quite helpful. And there's a virtual racing school, which is a new service website that's started up in the last year, and they will often put up for the different series car setups, so you can pick up some good base setups from that page as well. So most of the drivers in the Australian series are usually pretty happy to share setups and assistance with people, and just because one guy's super fast with a setup, it doesn't mean if you get his setup it's got to make you super fast as well. Everyone's driving style is a little bit different, but at least if you get something that's decent to start from and comfortable enough to drive, you can go from there.
Yeah, exactly right. And I know the Virtual Racing School, they offer many levels of membership, don't they? You can go in, pretty much choose what level of membership you want. It goes from extremely cheap, I think free, you can go in and use their tools for a couple of hours a week, to paying on a monthly rate, all the way up to paying for one-on-one coaching, which costs a lot of money. But if you look at it, that some of these drivers are aspiring to be in the World Championship of iRacing, where there is money available, they will pay those big dollars to get that one-on-one coaching to help them make that level of competition.
Yeah, I think the VRS guys, they've put up a couple of case studies about that already, and we've seen it as well, Bernie, as you know, in the last few years, that drivers who are up and coming and attach themselves or get picked up by a good team and get some coaching and are willing to put in the time and the effort, it can really make big improvements. And I think the Evolution Racing team recently just announced a new initiative where they have a feeder team, or a feeder sort of group of young guys that they see potential in, and they're working with to try and get them to improve and possibly perhaps become a pro driver in their main team in the future. So it's great to see that sort of support in the community and these sort of avenues that are open for guys to really improve. And like McLaren Formula One just announced a new initiative recently as well.
Yeah, exactly right. And I know there's some more exciting news coming from ERT shortly to do with McLaren. I have no idea what that's about, but no doubt something will come out, and it's probably linked to that new initiative in some way. But ERT is a great example of the potential of what a team can achieve in iRacing. Not only, they've got quite a number of pro drivers now which can race at the World Championship level. But not only that, look at the amount of sponsorship that teams attracted and the way the professionalism in that team really, I think, shows the potential that any of these teams can aspire to if that's what they want to get out of iRacing. Of course, a lot of teams jump in because they just want to go and race with a bunch of mates, and that's perfectly okay as well.
Yep, no, that's exactly what we do. We call ourselves some weekend warriors, and we just do our best, and plenty of guys are happy just to do that. So just noticed that Justin Strickland's come in, Bernie, to the pits, so they were in the lead. He was on just about to start his 28th lap, so he's pitting now. We'll probably see the rest of the HPD field, I should say, coming in the next 2 or 3 laps as well. But I did notice when Justin was entering the pits, he locked up his tyres and left some big black marks after the pit limiter cones. So hopefully they haven't received a speeding in the pits penalty, because that will cost them some time.
Yeah, that's right, and that's an automated penalty iRacing service dishes out basically.
Yeah. So when you're entering the pits, if you're decreasing your speed really quickly, sometimes you'll get away with it for a bit. You can maybe go half a kilometre an hour too quick through the pits and it won't ping you, but if you do get hit with that penalty, I think it's a 15-second penalty that you'll get at the next pit stop, or maybe a drive-through. So it would certainly hurt. You have to be quite careful.
Oh, definitely. And we're having a look at the moment. The new class leader is Craig Edwards, Fusion Sim Racing, and they're having a battle with Daniel Benefield, the 101, who now peels into the pits for their service.
Yeah, that looks like a slightly early stop. That's at the 24th lap, but it could be that they're just hitting with 2 or 3 laps of fuel in the car, just in case there's a safety car. So they might be playing the safe, the regular sort of strategy. And perhaps Justin Strickland in the other car there was just pushing their luck and being a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, and Phil Hobbs in the 103 Redback is on the same strategy as their sister car, the 101. Can see now the 102 coming through. We'll see if Warren brings it in as well, which pretty much would mean all the Redback cars are on the same strategy. No, he proves us wrong. He goes through.
It could be that maybe they've saved a little bit more fuel from a previous stop, or they're slightly more efficient in the way they drive. But we know you do have to have some fuel on board in case there's a safety car, and when a safety car comes out, teams will use a few different methods to save fuel, but the easiest one is just not using much throttle at all. Possibly some teams will be using their clutch as well to roll down hills and save as much fuel as they can, but usually they'll work out after the first safety car how much fuel they'll need to do 2 or 3 laps behind the safety car, and that then becomes the buffer that they use for their pit stops later in the race.
And a few more statistics, folks. For the new viewers out there, you'll get to know I like my statistics. The fastest car on Class A, that goes at the moment to Craig Edwards in the Fusion Sim Racing Class A leader. Their fastest lap, a 2:05.500 in Class A. Looking at Class B, Proforce Racing GTI has the fastest lap in that class. Ross Rizzo behind the wheel, 2:20.048. So a good 15 seconds a lap difference between HPD and the GT3s. As far as Class C goes, the fastest lap goes to Michael Hammond at the moment for Laser Racing, who's retired that car. Their fastest lap at 2:26.057. So do the maths on all that. 6 seconds difference in speed, Class C to B. Class C to A, though, we're looking at a good 20 seconds a lap speed difference.
Yeah, huge difference there, Bernie. But because of the small difference between the Porsches and the GT3s, we've already seen a couple of incidents early in the race because of that. So it can cause a few problems, and we've seen Michael Hammond's car retire there as Warren Pickering pits this lap. So he's just gone 1 extra lap and done 25 laps before he pits in that Redback racing car.
You've also got in the pit lane at the moment our Class A leader, Craig Edwards, is in. Jason Hyde, Fusion Sim Racing, Jason Hyde Performance Motorsports also in. George Alamaris, they've come into the pits as well. And as you said, Warren Pickering is in there. But I tell you what, the length of this pit lane must make the driver feel like they've been driving forever, because it's probably the longest pit lane in iRacing on the iRacing service.
I think so. It really feels like you're crawling and losing a lot of time when you roll down that pit lane. But, one other thing we haven't talked about, Bernie, is the fact that some cars might choose to double stint their tyres in order to save a bit of pit lane stationary time. But it'd be interesting to see if that does happen. I haven't noticed any cars yet that might have done that. Maybe with the warm track today, they feel like they have to take tyres at every pit.
Yeah, well, I think the HPD can fuel and take tyres at the same time, so they may choose to throw tyres on every stint. The GT3s, though, I think they've got to fuel the car before they do the tyres.
They do, yeah. So taking tyres on the GT3 will cost you around about an extra 23 seconds of stationary time. So the teams will have to then look at, well, do they think they're going to lose 23 seconds of time during a second stint on the same set of tyres? And if so, would the car be dangerous to drive? If they think they'd only lose, say, 15 seconds of lap time during another stint, then they might choose every now and again to just keep going on the same set of tyres, do 2 stints on the tyres, and that might be a faster way to the finish. But it's often risky because the car doesn't handle as well. It's a bit harder to control, especially if you get into a bit of trouble. So we'll just see what they do.
Yeah, and I guess it's probably more of an opportunity for the GT3s to do that than the HPDs potentially. I don't know about the Porsches though. how their pits work, whether they can throw tyres on at the same time. I know the GT3s do it because that's what happens in real world racing. So iRacing, of course, follows that on.
Yeah, I'm not too sure with the Porsches either. Maybe one of our viewers can let us know in the YouTube chat there. But it looks like the Selby 314 GT3 car has pitted and done a driver swap. So Jason Scully is in that car now. We're seeing a few new drivers throughout the field. Some of the opening drivers have done double stints and now changed over. So not too sure why the Selby team there has pitted slightly earlier compared to the rest of the GT3 field. Perhaps we'll see the rest of the field coming into pit at the end of their current lap.
Yeah, and their pit stop time was 64.5 seconds, so quite a long stop. Most of the GT3s, though, with driver changes and tyre change and full fuel, are pitting at around about the 60 to 63.4 mark.
Yeah, it looks like that's a typical stop for fuel and for tyres. Just watching Ross Rizzo, who's the leader of that class now, moving through a couple of slower cars, just getting around the Porsche of Steve Carmichael there and closing in on the back of Sam Young in the Lone Wolf Sim Racers car, who I think Sam is a couple of laps down at least now, or maybe only one lap down, but looks like he's about to get lapped again.
Yeah, that's the Lone Wolf Sim Racers car, as you said, one lap down, about to go down a second lap here as Ross Rizzo closes in on him. Looking at Ross Rizzo's last pit stop, they did a 57.5, but looking at the pit stop, you know, the difference between, I'll say it in a minute because the LMTI car is trying to get past Ross, and Ross is trying to put a lap down on the car in front of him.
Yeah, it looks like the LMTI car there being quite patient, in fact letting another HPD through there. As a GT3 driver, you start to learn who the patient HPD drivers are and who the aggressive ones are, so you can then start to plan how you're going to let those cars pass and whether they're going to try and dive on the inside of a corner and get past you.
Yeah, and Dean Briffer's jumped into the Redback Racing Team red car. He's replaced Daniel Benefield, who started the race.
It looks like we've had quite a few driver changes in the HPD field now. Craig Edwards in the car and leading at the moment by the looks of it, but the rest of the field there's some new names that have hopped in the car, so these guys will be trying to keep up with the leaders there and hopefully put in some good lap times.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how closely matched each of those drivers are as the race goes on. Also, speaking of new drivers, how long has Jason been in your team for? Because I'm not sure if I've heard of his name before.
Yeah, no, Jason Scully has been in our team probably for a good 6 months or so now. When we had Hayden Burns moved on to Mad Cow Racing, there was just Sean, Chris Keeping and myself, and we were looking for a fourth, particularly for the enduro races. So Jason was a mate of Chris's for a while and got in touch with Jace, and he came on board, and recently Paul Mansell has joined the team as well. So it's been a great addition to the team there too.
Okay, well that's my old man brain not picking it up. Looks like we've got an interview waiting to come in, and we'll bring him up as we can see Dean Briffer in the 101. We've got Daniel Benefield waiting for an interview, so bring him up, have a chat, and it's just about time for us to say goodbye to you as well, Nathan.
Yeah, thanks, Bernie. I'll probably make a move then and start warming up for my stint later on. So thanks everyone for watching the broadcast, and if you don't want me to hang around for this interview, Bernie, I can hang around if you like.
No, you hang around for the interview. At the end of the interview, you can exit stage left. Perfect timing. Under safety car here for the second time.
Yeah, safety car called again, so not too sure what's caused that one. We might have to go back and have a look.
Yeah, we'll do that before the interview and see if we can find out what's called it. Might be Justin Richardson in the Dynamic Sim Racing car, possibly. He's had 2 off tracks, but I don't think he's called it, so Not sure. We'll have to get some news from race control. In fact, we'll bring up Daniel. He might be able to tell us. Hi Daniel, welcome to RRTV's commentary box. Notice the safety car's out again. Do you know what's brought this one out?
No, I've been, since I'm in VR now, I'm sort of taking a brace. I'm not really looking at what's happening in the session, but we're time for a safety car since we've just started our stint now. So, I mean, all the HPDs have done their stops, so it'll be interesting to see if anyone decides to come in to top up and not.
Yeah, it will be very interesting, and your car's quite competitive today. Has everything been running to plan as far as your strategies go, car setup, that sort of thing?
Yeah, it was a little bit slower in the opening stint, or opening hour and a half, just while the track was still a bit green. I think just with the where we set the car up, it's a bit better once the track's rubbered in. It started to come to me really nicely. So the second half of that last 4 fuel runs, so it's starting to come towards us. So I'm really looking forward to jump back in it once Dean has done his first stint.
Fantastic. And who else have you got lined up for that car? Is it just you and Dean?
Yeah, it's just us two. Evan's left the team now, and Pete's been overseas all week, so he hasn't really had any time to practice. So Dean and I are taking up the driving duties today.
Fantastic. Well, that'll make it a long day for both of you guys. I've seen you do longer days though, but are you using VR and iRacing now? Is that what you're saying earlier?
Yeah, we were tempted to rename Team Red. Actually, we got to try and convince Pete to get an Oculus so we can rename Team Red Team VR, since Dean runs it as well.
And what's it like using the VR and iRacing?
Compared, because I have a DK one as well that I tried a couple of years ago, but it's come so far in 2 years. It's amazing. Just in reality how far it has come, and it's just an amazing experience now. There's that, when I first got it, obviously there's that initial whoa, this is awesome, but now I'm starting to use it to try and find some consistency, try and find a little bit more pace, try and use it to give me an advantage.
Yeah, and I think the Oculus is quite affordable these days. I think it's down to about $700. I think the HTC Vive costs about $1,500.
Yeah, the Oculus is definitely the better option in my opinion. It's just, it's funny, the guy that helped me choosing my specs and everything for when I did my new computer build to run it, he said quite blatantly, to be honest, and I can sort of see where he comes from, that the Vive is much better for videos, and the Oculus is much better for gaming.
Yeah, and for the viewers out there that may be interested in VR, what sort of computer specs do you need? As we see all the cars stopping, what's going on here? They're all stopping. Hang on a second. Nathan's gone. Bailey, do you know why all the cars are just stopped?
I've only just got into the session myself, Bernie. I wouldn't be able to tell you.
They've all just parked it.
Yeah, I've got an update, Bernie, if you like.
Yeah, what's going on?
It looks like when the race server was set up, it was accidentally set to a maximum of 2 drivers per team. So what they're doing now is the organisers have noted down all the positions that the cars were in under that safety car, and the teams are leaving this server. There'll be a new race server that's going to get started up, and the cars will then start in that order on the new server with 8 hours of time remaining for the race. Really unheard of.
This is the first time I've ever seen such a thing happen.
Yes, it's interesting. So, so we're going to have to connect
I guess it's a red flag situation.
To the new server.
Yeah, it's a red flag situation, all right. And yeah, we're going to have to go and find a new server. I don't know what that's going to do to our broadcast. I'm having a feeling maybe we should just pull the broadcast at this point and come back this afternoon, but when it's all sorted out. But getting back to our interview with you, Daniel, VR, what sort of specs do you think a person would need to enjoy VR and iRacing?
Well, I went a little bit overkill with so I put in Trident C 32 gig of RAM, 2400 megahertz with the 1080 Ti, and I've also gone a gigabyte gaming motherboard. So it's maybe a little bit overkill with I got i7 7700K as well. So it's probably a little bit overkill because. I think the minimum you need is a 960, but don't quote me on that. But it's something along those lines is roughly what we need for just to run VR. But to run it high graphics settings and all that, I've gone, and for a bit of longevity as well, I've gone pretty crazy on the specs.
Oh, I find it surprising that you wouldn't go overboard with that sort of thing, Daniel. But yeah, I'm running a 1080. I just put in mine, and I think that's VR ready. But that's not going to run it at maximum graphics, of course. As you said, I'll have to downgrade the graphics a little bit to do that. But yeah, and I was stirring you, by the way, Daniel. You can comment if you wish.
Well, I could have gone a Titan.
Well, as far as racing goes, though, today, and it was going to plan for you guys, no major issues. It looked like both you and Dean are on the pace, so hopefully it's looking good for you guys.
Yeah, it'd be interesting actually to see if with this new server, I'm assuming they'll try and carry over the track state if they can. So it's going to be interesting. I think it might suit the FSR car a little bit since they hadn't taken tyres on their last stop. So I guess it neutralises the field all once again, and we'll see what happens once we get into the new server, restart the race, and with 8 hours. I don't think he'll change our strategy much in terms of drivers, because since Dean had only just got in the car, it won't change the minimum requirement too much. Sadly, though, it means everyone's incident points get reset, and we only had 4 from the first couple of hours, so I guess we got to start working on that again.
Yeah, well, that's where it's really going to benefit some drivers that have had, or teams that have had very high incidents to this point. All that's going to be reset, and it's a bit of a get out of jail card for some of these teams, I think. Yeah,
sadly, it doesn't really suit us at all on either front, because we were good on strategy, and we had good incidents, we had low incidents, and yeah. So, I guess you could say the first double stint just went to race, but I mean, it's buying a ticket to the last hour really at this point still.
Oh, exactly right, and I know what it has done though. It's not only put you guys in disarray, it's put our broadcast into a bit of a disarray, and I'm thinking after the interview, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to do a wrap-up of this morning's racing, and then we'll come back at 4 o'clock today, because it's just going to be it's going to take a long time, I think, for the race control to get the other server up, get the drivers sorted, get all the field sorted, and get back to racing. So in all honesty, I don't think we're going to miss much in the next 50 minutes.
They should have it up and running fairly soon, I think, Bernie, but yeah, Daniel raised a good point that some teams were, in a good situation then at the end of that first session. And I know, talking to the Selby guys just briefly before, our car was really coming into its own once the track had rubbered up. The other other thing that this gives teams the opportunity to do is, perhaps some teams who've driven for a couple of hours realise they can make a few small changes to a car setup. They might be able to change their setup before they hop back into the server. So maybe some teams will try and do that, take advantage of it. I don't think that would be very fair, but it certainly opens a door for that sort of thing to happen.
The other thing it opens a door up for teams thinking strategically is this session's still going to be running for the next 8 hours. The track's rubbered up. You've got good weather. It doesn't stop drivers now coming into this session and using this track condition to warm up instead of their own practice session.
Yeah, there's still quite a big difference though. I mean, even if you start with a track with high usage, it isn't rubbered in. So like Daniel was saying before, the track, it takes a while to rubber in, and for the teams that have a setup that works well for a rubbered in track, it's still going to take another stint or two for those setups to start really working well.
Yeah, once the other track's rubbered in, this track is rubbered in, Who knows? I don't drive that much, so that's just my theory. But anyway, Daniel, we should let you go, mate. Before we do, though, give a shout-out to all your sponsors. Or before we do, Nathan, do you have any questions for Daniel?
No, I think you pretty much covered it, Bernie, but you guys are doing a good job, Daniel. It looks like your car was handling pretty well compared to some others around you. So it looks like you've got a nice setup that's working, and the tyres are working well for you too.
Yeah, hopefully the track on the new session doesn't take too long to rubber up. Because, as I said towards the end of my stint, then once the track was really rubbered up, it was an absolute joy to drive. Just amazing.
That's good. At least you've got that knowledge in your back pocket. So with 8 hours to go, it still puts you guys in a pretty reasonable position.
Yeah, good luck to you guys as well. I mean, I haven't really been following you guys since I've been in the car, but good luck to you guys in GT3 as well.
Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah, as far as us is concerned, Daniel, we were just talking you up pretty much for the whole stint.
Oh, now you gotta now I'll have to go back and watch it.
That's the plan. Then I'll get another viewer. That's the whole thing. It's a conspiracy. But anyway, Daniel, thanks, mate, for popping in. Give a shout out to your sponsors if you haven't already, because I wasn't listening to you.
Well, obviously you guys, because you sponsor us, of course. Thanks, as always, for the awesome job you guys do. Not only on this, but on the Australian Online Supercars Championship as well. You guys do an awesome job. And to Secure Safe Storage for all their work that they do for us.
No worries. And we have the world's best deal about sponsoring you guys, because I don't think I'm actually paying you guys any money at the moment, so I'd probably stop calling us a sponsor and focus on Secura. Yeah,
I'll organise Brett and Aaron to come hunt you down.
That's fine. I can deal with those guys. But anyway, Daniel, best of luck. We can see Michael out there in Team White now using the track conditions to start warming up.
Thanks, guys.
So we've got Bailey up here and Nathan's still with us. I don't know, guys, it's thrown it into a little bit of a disarray. I'm thinking we're going to call this broadcast a little bit early and come back this afternoon. But before we go, though, Nathan, what are your thoughts on the racing today so far?
Yeah, thanks, Bernie. Looks like that new server's up now, by the way, so I think the teams will be starting to connect to that. It looks. I think the racing's been pretty clean, actually. We've only had a couple of incidents, one safety car, which looked like it was a hardware problem. It's been fairly clean, so the racing has been good. It's just such a shame that they've had to cut the server short and start a new one up. But notice that the practice session is only 10 minutes of open practice for that race, so these teams are going to have to get connected pretty quickly to get into that server and get ready to race.
Yeah, that's right, and we're still in this server, folks. I haven't basically cut across to it, and we probably won't. But as far as retirements go, we've had 2 retirements today. Of course, the 212 retired, and that was Michael Hammond Laser Racing, the only other Porsche 911 that we had in that class. The other one was the 115 Aaron Farmer. After that incident, they decided that it wasn't worth continuing, basically, and retired that car. That was the first car to retire. And so 2 retirements so far.
Yeah, unfortunately, the 145, they nearly hit their incident limit. I think they only had 1 incident left before they would have got disqualified anyway. So basically guaranteed to use up 1 incident point in another 8 hours of racing, and they had to call it quits.
Yeah, so they're the 2 retirements. Looking at before the red flag was called here at Spa, your top 10, your top 10 in Class A was Team VPR were leading. Hang on, what's going on here? I've got all these DNFs. Well, we're not going to go through those because now my telemetry's all gone to garbage. We'll see if I can pull up the race results. No, can't pull them up either. So we're not going to go through that. So our broadcast's going from good to not so good. But anyway,
I think I've got the top 10 here, Bernie, if you want me to read through them quickly.
Yeah, do that, because we've had some guys doing extra laps. So let's go through the top 10 in Class A.
Right, well, this is according to the JRT data that I've got when I left the server. So this might be slightly out, but hopefully not. We had Fusion Sim Racing 145 with Craig Edwards in first, 166 VPR car in second, 199 Misfit Motorsport in third by the looks of it. Then we follow up in fourth position, Redback Racing Team Red in the 101. The Dynamic Sim Racing 4 team, Justin Richardson in the 118 car in fifth. Then followed by Dynamic Sim Racing 3. The 2 Redback Racing Team White and Black cars from Phil Hobbs and Warren Pickering in 7th and 8th. And then the last 2 cars in the Class A cars, Dynamic Sim Racing 2 and Performance Motorsports HPD in 10th position there.
Fantastic, thanks for that. And as far as Class C goes, that was being led by Proforce Racing. Ross Rizzo was in that car at the time, and they're sponsored by GTI, so they'll start out of there. I think second was Fusion Sim Racing, and then
Arm Racing, I think, was second, and then the 2
340
Fusion Sim Racing cars after that. Yep, Swift Racing and Selby in those last 2 positions there.
And then, of course, in Class C, that was being led by the 211, and Steve Carmichael was still in that car. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens and what the teams do. This is unprecedented, folks. We've never seen this, but to admin's credit, they really did need to do this because, as we know, some drivers and teams have up to 4 drivers, maybe more, and it would have been a nightmare for those teams, and we would have seen a lot of conjecture over it. So I think they've done the best thing they can in this situation, Nathan. Yeah,
look, at least it looks like they made a quick decision to do something, which was to end that server, take all the car positions and start another one. So it means that the race will continue. We'll get a full 10 hours of racing. Yes, there's a hiccup, but no cars have lost position. So look, it's the best of a worst case scenario, I guess. So we'll keep racing, and looks like all the cars are connecting to this new server. So probably get underway on that new server in 6 or 7 minutes or so, I think.
Yeah, I'd say they will. By the time they do get going, though, folks, it'll be 11:30 a.m. here. We're due to go off air at 12, so you're not going to miss too much. Probably half an hour of coverage, but between you and me, it could be very exciting watching what happens, but then again, it could be not so exciting. But Bailey, thanks for jumping in, mate. Before we go off air, though, you've probably been watching it this morning. What are your thoughts on the racing so far?
Oh, Bernie, I've jumped in and out just a little bit, watching 10-15 snippets, minutes, etc. Throughout the race. And it's been quite exciting for Class A and Class B so far. And unfortunate for the Porsches and having one car left. I heard you guys say earlier on. But yeah, Class A is definitely putting on a show so far, and it should be an exciting finish at the 10-hour mark.
Yeah, it certainly should. It's going to be also interesting now how the teams respond to this change in server, because quite a few teams are up to 25 incident points. They had a limit of about 93, so they're going to get a free kick on that. The other thing's going to be interesting now to see if the drivers that were in the cars choose to come back in the cars or throw another driver in. And the third part, Bailey, is going to be pit strategy now, how that's going to play out in the next 8 hours.
Yeah, well, the pit strategy will definitely change a lot more, since they will have 7 hours and 40 minutes, say, of racing to go. So coming into the car pretty much will be close to fresh track, not much rubber down, as Nathan was saying, and a full tank of fuel. It could definitely play with some people's strategies, but in an endurance, it's a lot of running it empty, filling it back up and going back out there and trying to gain as many positions as possible.
Yeah, so only time will tell, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out anyway. But Nathan, before we go off air, mate, big thank you to you jumping in this morning at the early hours of 8:45 or earlier for us to set up. It's been a pleasure having you call the race as always, and best of luck for Selby. We look forward to see how your stint goes. Hopefully your leg's going to do its thing. For the viewers out there, Nathan broke his leg pretty badly. How long ago was that, Nathan? About a month or two ago?
7 weeks now.
Yeah, so around about 2 months. So this will be Nathan's first drive in the car. So hopefully it'll go smoothly and not too painful for you.
I don't think I'll be setting any lap records, Bernie, but yeah, it was good to hop in this morning and help out with a bit of commentary, and great to watch the cars from a different angle. Usually I don't get to do this, so yeah, look, I'll hand back to you, and I'm going to go and do a bit of practice and help the team out.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Well, off you go. See ya.
All right, thanks, guys. See you later.
Yeah, and as far as we go, Bailey, I think you're going to come back at 4 o'clock. Join us in the comm box to call the last part of the race, the last 4 hours, 3 hours, and I think Daniel Leet will also be joining us this afternoon.
Yeah, it'd be good to catch up with Daniel again. It's been a while since this AOSC championship I've seen him, but yeah, I'll do my best to get back here at 4 o'clock, Bernie, and jump in and watch another good into racing.
Yeah, no worries. Well, if you don't quite make it at 4 or whatever, if you don't make it till much later, that's fine, because Daniel will be in with us, and it'll be good racing. It'll be interesting to see how all this plays out this afternoon. And, of course, we'll update all the viewers at 4 o'clock of exactly the state of play of the race. And, yeah, we'll go from there, I think, Bailey.
Yeah, it should be the best way. Unfortunately, we've had to cut the broadcast a little bit early. But yeah, it's for the better of it, as you said, Bernie.
Yeah, there's only so much of droning on we can go in this situation. But I tell you what, Bailey, you've also got the new world record of the shortest commentary stint in RRTV history. Well done.
Thank you very much. Where's my medal?
Oh, it's in the mail. I'm gonna eat the chocolate out of one of those gold coins. I'll squish it down and I'll send you it.
Awesome. Yes, that'll be a very awesome 25-minute broadcast for me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's pretty short. But anyway, folks, thanks for joining us this morning. We always enjoy your company. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be doing this. And we'll be back this afternoon at 4 p.m. To cover the last 3 hours of this race and do post-race interviews. But until then, folks, on behalf of Nathan Hapatz, Bailey Hall, I'm Bernie Weemers. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you back on RRTV this afternoon, 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. But until then, hope your Sunday is a great one. Good night, good morning, good afternoon. See you later.